Chapter 133. I don't go into seclusion. Even if I do, it'll be for a short period of time. I'll remember these things. If you're not afraid of tiring yourself out, then our Taishan Peak will recruit more people. This time I'll put aside my pride and bring all the newcomers back, Jianghu said with a smile. I'm not afraid of tiring myself out. It's better for our Taishan Peak to be lively, Yang Lei said with a nod. Alright, then you guys go. Take care of 13's safety. I'll go talk to the Great Elder, Jianghu said with a nod. This time Gong Xian was the one leading the team. In fact, only Night Sorrow was participating in the Yuan ranking contest. Everyone was here to cheer for Night Sorrow. After Gong Xian and the others left, Jianghu found Tai Tsong and asked him to secretly keep an eye on him. It didn't matter what Night Sorrow's results were, the most important thing was that he couldn't afford to have any accidents. After arriving at the square of the mountain gate, Night Sorrow realized how wrong he was. He originally thought that there would only be a few dozen people participating in the Yuan ranking contest, but in fact, there were many people from all the big peaks. There were at least a few hundred people participating in the Yuan ranking contest. This also let Night Sorrow know the background of the Medicine Valley. Those who weren't in the late stage of element gathering realm wouldn't participate in the Yuan ranking contest. Now that there were a few hundred disciples in the late stage of element gathering realm, how could Night Sorrow not be shocked? So many people? Chu Ning asked in surprise before Night Sorrow could speak. In the past few years, the Medicine Valley would accept more than 200 people in every disciple recruitment contest. There were also high-ranking members of the sect who went out for experience and brought back youths with cultivation aptitude. Every year, the sect would add 400 to 500 new disciples. Most of these people are in the late stage of element gathering realm. For example, next year or the year after, you guys might be at this level. It's normal for 2 or 3 batches of disciples to be at this level, Xuanhuan said. Everyone understood after hearing Xuanhuan's words. The Medicine Valley was the largest sect within 100,000 li radius. It was normal for them to have so many disciples. The peak masters of the various peaks as well as the second-generation disciples had arrived. Yesterday's rookie competition did not affect them much, nor did it affect their personal interests. Today was different. If their disciples were to enter the rankings, it would be an honor. Yan Bei was still in charge with Chu Ling Xiao as his assistant. The Great Elder was sitting there with his eyes closed as if he had fallen asleep. Qian Wu's complexion was not very good. After all, yesterday's matter was very embarrassing. That's strange. I heard that the first elder and second elder did not attend the sect competition and disciple recruitment ceremony in previous years. What's going on this year? Tao Yuan muttered in confusion. 13's retrieval of that ancient book is of great importance. It may be an opportunity for the rise of the Medicine Valley. The first elder may have some ideas, said Gong Xian. When Gong Xian spoke, the first elder opened his eyes and glanced at Gong Xian. He nodded slightly and closed his eyes again. At this moment, Yan Beiji said some encouraging words and then announced the rules. First of all, the disciples who did not have a ranking on the Yuan leaderboard would compete for the right to challenge. This selection was simple and violent. All the challengers would go up to the arena and only 30 people would be left. These 30 people would have the right to challenge. There were 100 people on the Yuan leaderboard. Those who had the right to challenge could only challenge the last 10 people. Each person only had one chance to challenge. Regardless of whether the challenger or the challenged person won, they would not be challenged for 3 rounds. Those who won 3 times would not have to accept challenges. This one chance to challenge meant that if they lost, they could not continue to challenge. If they won, they could challenge indefinitely. 13th uncle is at a bit of a disadvantage. Those people have brothers and sisters who can help them. Our Taishan Peak only has 13th uncle. If we are targeted, we can beat him up with a punch. Tang Tian said. Interpersonal relationships are also a kind of ability. If you can stand there and prevent others from attacking you, it's also a kind of ability, said Wu Qi. I'll go greet Martial Uncle Duan. Gong Xian was about to leave for Cloud Sea Peak. The peak master of Yunhai Peak, Duan Lei, and Yu Yangyu were fellow disciples. Although they didn't interact much, they were always on each other's side during crucial moments. When Gong Xian asked Yunhai Peak to help look after Night Sorrow, Duan Lei wouldn't refuse. After all, Night Sorrow was also his own martial nephew. Eldest senior brother, there's no need for that. I don't like that. Surviving in a crisis is also a test. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't know about his relationship with Duan Lei, so he didn't want Gong Xian to beg for help. YD update % new most % /fast DG on you, 13, sometimes you have to be flexible, Gong Xian said as he looked at Night Sorrow. He understood Night Sorrow and knew that rigidity was Night Sorrow's weakness. I understand eldest senior brother's logic, but I still don't want you to lose face and beg for help. What I want is face. Your face is also my face. Eldest senior brother, please allow me to be willful this once. Night Sorrow said to Gong Xian. He knew that Gong Xian was doing this for his own good, so he didn't want Gong Xian to beg for help. The first elder opened his eyes and looked at Chen Wu. How is this kid? Very good. It's really rare. Chen Wu nodded. He knew what the first elder was asking. They might not be able to find out what happened in the outer area of the square, but everything in the inner area was under their investigation. This naturally included the conversation between Gong Xian and Night Sorrow. Gong Xian exhaled and nodded. He understood that the only thing he could do now was to support Night Sorrow. After Yen Beiji left the arena, Chu Lingxiao called the disciples who were participating in the Yuan ranking battle to prepare for battle. Night Sorrow nodded at his senior brother and senior sister. He carried the reincarnation spear and walked up the arena. He stood on the side of the arena closest to Taishan Peak. It was obvious that the people on the arena were in groups. The 12 peaks were divided into 12 groups. Only Night Sorrow stood alone on the side of Taishan Peak. Qingshan, did you see that? This is imposing manner. Even if there are thousands of enemies in front of him, he will still face them calmly. This is the temperament of an expert. Your martial uncle has really picked up a treasure. Why didn't our Cloud Sea Peak host the disciple recruitment ceremony last time? Duan Lei said to Bai Qingshan, who was beside him. Master, do you want me to greet the disciples? Bai Qingshan asked in a low voice. No need. The disciples know who to target and won't provoke him. Besides, it's not that easy to get him off the arena. It's hard to say if we can get him off the arena, but the price will definitely be heavy, Duan Lei said with a smile. Soon the battle began and the arena became chaotic. However, one could still see some subtle patterns. The disciples of Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, Cloud Sea Peak and Crepe Myrtle did not attack each other. The disciples of the other peaks were also fighting in groups. Night Sorrow's side was very quiet. No one came to disturb him. No one took a single Night Sorrow, who was in the 4th level of element gathering tier, seriously. Chapter 134. The sound of blades slicing through the air, the sound of weapons clashing, and the angry roars of some people after they fell off the stage could be heard. Night Sorrow stood there motionlessly with his reincarnation spear pointed at the ground with his right hand. 13th uncle is so cool. With a spear in hand, the world is his. No one dares to touch 13th uncle. Chuning's big mouth was not idle. Just as Chuning was speaking, 2 disciples from Tianyue Peak who were pushed back by Danding Peak rushed towards Night Sorrow. They planned to take down Night Sorrow first. Don't jinx it. Aoi reached out and slapped Chuning on the back of his head. Night Sorrow twisted his right wrist and pulled out his reincarnation spear horizontally in front of him. When he pulled out his spear, there was a vibration force. His true chi was not as abundant as anyone on the stage. Therefore he could only use battle techniques. Buzz. A strong vibration sound was heard. The guy on the right side of Night Sorrow saw Night Sorrow pull out his spear and blocked with his battle blade. However, he did not manage to hold onto his battle blade and it was sent flying. After his weapon was sent flying, he was hit by Night Sorrow's spear and was sent flying off the stage. At the same time, Night Sorrow used the Dragon Leap step and moved 2 steps, dodging the other person's attack. Then he flicked his wrist and stabbed his spear towards that person's throat. The guy who did not want to retreat and wanted to beat Night Sorrow off the stage swung his long sword towards Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. When he swung his sword, he even slid it towards Night Sorrow. He planned to flick Night Sorrow's spear away and take advantage of the situation to attack. Ding. This guy's long sword was blocked by Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. The reincarnation spear was unmoved like a mountain and stopped at the guy's throat. While this guy was still in shock, Yi Chang's reincarnation spear smashed down on this unlucky guy's shoulder, causing him to tumble. Yi Chang then followed up with a kick to kick him down. Isn't that stupid? Seeing the weapon in front of you being knocked away, you still want to pick up 13th uncle's spear. You don't even know how you died. Tang Tian shook his head and said, It's your 13th uncle's cultivation level that's too deceptive. Why would he care about someone in the late stage of element gathering tier? Huan An said with a smile. When the 2 of them were knocked off the stage by Night Sorrow attracted a lot of attention. The disciples of Tianyue Peak who had been repelled in the group battle rushed towards Night Sorrow. Since there were people looking for trouble, Night Sorrow didn't hold back either. The reincarnation spear's barrel slashed and swept across, shaking away all the attackers. Some of the unlucky ones were directly knocked off the stage. Only one Y positive V version understand X other. All one is stolen. F version Night Sorrow didn't use the energy in his body. He only used the strength of his arms and the power of the vibration to fight. Even so, no one was able to get close to him. Using the reincarnation spear that weighed 1,000 jin with a strength of 13,000 to 14,000 jin and the reincarnation spear with the power of the vibration, those in the late stage of element gathering tier who didn't have a very strong body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Seeing Night Sorrow injuring the disciples of Xianxia Peak and knocking them off the stage, the disciples of Xianxia Peak gathered towards Night Sorrow. They wanted to deal with Night Sorrow first. Seeing the disciples of Xianxia Peak rushing towards him, Xuanhuan executed the dragon leap steps and waved the reincarnation spear with both arms, controlling the distance between them and not letting them get close to him. He didn't want to defeat or injure many people. His goal was to stall for time and hold on until the end. As long as he was among the last 30 people, it would be fine. Night Sorrow's body suddenly moved forward and backward. Holding the reincarnation spear with both hands, he attacked without restraint. No one was able to threaten his safety. Night Sorrow's safety wasn't a problem, but the people attacking him were. As long as they were touched by the reincarnation spear, their weapons would either be knocked away or their bones would be broken. There were many disciples of Xianxia Peak, but it was useless. There weren't many people who could get close to the inner circle to attack Night Sorrow. Interesting. Do you think group battles are useful? Back when we were exterminating the mountain bandits, 13's cultivation was much weaker than now. Didn't he still get exterminated? Emo Chin said with a smile. He knew Night Sorrow's group battle ability very well. Moreover, the current situation was different from back then. Xuanhuan didn't seek to kill. He only sought to protect himself and injure the enemy while protecting himself. Enlightenment, this little guy is very fierce. On the spectator's stand, a girl wearing a white battle robe with her hair tied up behind her head said to Enlightenment, "Senior Sister Lon, that's not a little guy. That's our martial uncle." Enlightenment said with a smile. Martial uncle? What nonsense are you talking about? The girl in white stared at Enlightenment and said. She wasn't considered pretty, but she was very spirited. She was Crepe Myrtle's eldest disciple, Tang Chanshan's fifth disciple, Lan Yu. She was also the current second on the Yuan ranking. His name is Night Sorrow. He's the last disciple of Taishan Peak's Peak Lord. He joined the sect last year. I even brought him over from the Grass Valley. Enlightenment said. I'm going to faint. What is Martial Uncle Lu doing? He got this little guy to be our martial uncle. Lan Yu said with some dissatisfaction. There are still some things you don't know. He's a heaven-ranked disciple in the sect. Enlightenment said. Enlightenment was the law enforcement disciple of Danding Peak, so she knew more things. He has connections in the sect? But I don't think Martial Uncle Lu would accept a disciple just because of someone's face. Another disciple on the Yuan ranking said. You've misunderstood me. He first became Martial Uncle Lu's disciple, and then he received this treatment. This order was given by the Supreme Elder Council, and it was the order given by the Great Elder himself. However, as far as I know, he did not receive the token of a heaven-ranked disciple, Qiming explained. Don't talk first. This guy is really strong. We're destined to be his target this year. Another female disciple said. She was also one of Crepe Myrtle's disciples, Lan Yu's martial uncle's disciple. Humph. Qin Zhan, who was sitting at the back, snorted. What's there to snort about? Let's not talk about others. It's hard to keep your position. I don't understand. Why did your Qin family provoke him? Enlightenment looked at Qin Zhan and said. Don't think that just because he got the title of newcomer king, it will affect my strength. Qin Zhan's face was livid. Enlightenment didn't give him any face. Newcomer king? This guy got first place in the newcomer competition? Lan Yu asked with some surprise. Yes. Just yesterday he got first place in the newcomer competition. The opponent he defeated was Beast Baby, who was in the 8th level of element gathering tier. Enlightenment said. He was at the scene yesterday just like Qin Zhan. That Beast Baby is really strong, but he was too arrogant. It's good that he was defeated. This young martial uncle is really strong. Could it be that Taishan Peak specializes in fierce people? Lan Yu shook her head slightly and said. Chapter 135. What a pity. Lan Yu shook her head. She admired Night Sorrow a lot. He entered the sect this year. To be able to reach this level, he is indeed quite strong. A man behind her said. Speaking of which, I admire our martial uncle quite a bit. In this year's disciple recruitment ceremony, the sect's threshold is the 4th level of chi refining. When he participated, he was at the 3rd level of chi refining. He said that he wasn't any worse than the others. After the sect gave him the qualifications to participate, he stubbornly fought with the other 7th and 8th level chi refining participants until the end, becoming one of the 26 people who entered the sect. You guys weren't there, so you should be able to imagine the difficulty he faced. Enlightenment lamented. I say, Xianxia, to be able to become enemies with him, are you really something? A short-haired youth looked at Xianxia. Xianxia glanced at the short-haired youth and didn't say anything. He didn't dare to offend him as he was a ruthless person from Wuwei Peak. Wuwei Peak always emphasized on Wuwei Peak, but the short-haired youth in front of him was different. He was a genuine ruthless person. He was the disciple of Wuwei Peak's head disciple Yishui. His name was Feng Yan. Enlightenment smiled and didn't say anything. He looked down on Xianxia as the two didn't have any interactions. How strong is he? He broke his opponent's weapon with one spear? Lan Yu's junior sister Huang Qian looked at the stage and said. On the stage, Night Sorrow broke the Tianyue Peak disciple's saber with one spear. Then he followed up with a kick and kicked him off the stage. When Night Sorrow kicked, his opponent came up from behind and stabbed his long sword towards Night Sorrow's back. Unable to dodge in time, Night Sorrow took out the sky-piercing spear with his left hand and blocked it. Then he used the wind-chasing spear technique with the sky-piercing spear to force his opponent back. Then he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand to smash his opponent. Long spear and short spear using the same spear technique. He is truly a monster. Lan Yu said with some shock. While the disciples on the Yuan roll were watching, Night Sorrow had defeated most of the Tianyue Peak disciples. There wasn't anyone left in front of him, so the remaining Tianyue Peak disciples didn't approach Night Sorrow. How is senior brother? Tai Tsong, who was standing behind Duan Lei, asked. What else can it be? Senior brother has picked up a treasure. Taishan Peak has earned a lot. Don't show off. Duan Lei glanced at Tai Tsong and said. Tai Tsong chuckled and nodded. Senior brother, you don't know. My big brother acted too quickly. Otherwise I would have taken it. Even if you want it, you'll still be misleading others. Duan Lei gave Tai Tsong a look of disdain. Hearing Duan Lei's words, Tai Tsong nodded helplessly. He was indeed not good at teaching disciples. Most of his disciples were taught by other elders of Taishan Peak. When Night Sorrow saw that no one was attacking him, he took 2 steps back and returned to his original position. He sheathed the sky-piercing spear at his waist and pointed the reincarnation spear at an angle to the ground. Night Sorrow's attitude was very clear. He just wanted a spot. If he didn't provoke others, they'd better not provoke him either. Night Sorrow's side was quiet, but the other peaks were more intense. Hundreds of people were fighting for 30 spots. There were too many wolves and too little meat. In Medicine Valley, being a disciple on the leaderboard not only represented glory, but also cultivation resources. Only if you had strength and potential would you be worthy of the sect's attention. Outside of the sect's grand competition, one could also challenge the Yuan leaderboard and Elixir leaderboard at other times. However, one would need sect merit points. Sect merit points were hard to come by. Challenging the Yuan leaderboard and Elixir leaderboard wasn't very easy. Therefore, disciples who didn't have a lot of resources and merit points wouldn't challenge them. Night Sorrow's side was very quiet. Only a few people who didn't notice his battle came to fight with him. However, they were defeated in a few moves. There were fewer and fewer people in the arena. Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, Cloud Sea Peak, Nine Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak and Green Rock Peak's group battles had also come to an end. Nine Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak and Green Rock Peak's disciples who weren't outstanding were all defeated. The remaining few who were strong no longer fought head-on. They moved quickly in the arena, planning to last until the last 30 people were selected. After a few rounds of encirclement, the remaining disciples of Nine Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak and Green Rock Peak were not defeated. The disciples of Danding Peak, North Pole Peak and Cloud Sea Peak shouted and began to fight with their own abilities. The elimination process was very fast. In a short while there weren't many people left in the arena. With Chu Lingxiao's stop, the battle ended, leaving only 30 people. Next was the start of the challenge. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He returned to his seat at Taishan Peak and sat down. With the qualification to challenge, he could challenge at any time. There was a huge gap between the disciples who weren't on the Yuan leaderboard and those who were on it. A few of them went up, but none of them succeeded. They were all defeated. This made the challengers feel conflicted. The challenge fell into an awkward silence. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow stood up and came to the arena. I want to challenge. Okay, Taishan Peak Disciple Night Sorrow. Over there is the Yuan leaderboard. You can only challenge the last 10 people, Chu Lingxiao said. This was the rule. A newcomer was only qualified to challenge the 10 people who were ranked higher than them. If one wanted to challenge the one ranked lower than 100, they wouldn't be able to do so. They didn't have the qualifications. Then 91 it is. There was a stone tablet on one side of the arena. The names of the Yuan leaderboard were written on it, but Night Sorrow didn't look at it. Wan Chun 91 on the Yuan leaderboard, come out and accept the challenge. Chu Lingxiao shouted at the resting area of the Yuan leaderboard disciples. At this moment, a tall and thin man walked out and entered the arena. Night Sorrow turned his wrist and pointed the reincarnation spear at the ground. He said to the tall and thin man, Wan Chun, please enlighten me. You're too polite. Make your move. Wan Chun nodded at Night Sorrow and then took up a defensive stance. Night Sorrow's feet shook as he charged forward. The reincarnation spear pierced towards Wan Chun's front. At the same time, the spear was filled with vibration energy. Wan Chun's body flashed and dodged Night Sorrow's spear. He circled around Night Sorrow and began to attack with his sword. He had already seen Night Sorrow's battle and knew that Night Sorrow's spear technique was outstanding. Furthermore, he was incomparably strong. Thus, he didn't plan to fight head-on and planned to win with his sword technique. Wan Chun's battle strategy was correct. Unfortunately, Night Sorrow's spear technique had already been cultivated to the extent that he could wield it like an extension of his arm. As he brandished the reincarnation spear, not only did he block Wan Chun's attack path, he also forced Wan Chun to continuously retreat. This wasn't to say that Wan Chun's sword technique wasn't good. He didn't dare to clash with Night Sorrow's weapon, causing the power of his sword technique to decrease by a few %. After being forced to the corner of the arena by Night Sorrow, Wan Chun had no choice but to use his sword to block Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. In the end, his long sword was shaken off by Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow controlled the reincarnation spear to stop 1 foot in front of Wan Chun and then retreated. I have lost. I accept my loss wholeheartedly. Wan Chun cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow expressed his apology. Wan Chun smiled and left the arena. He wasn't as strong as Night Sorrow, so he could afford to lose. Will Night Sorrow continue? Chu Lingxiao asked. Chapter 136. Scammer. Huang Qian looked gloomily at Qin Zhan, because in the following result she might be out of luck. She was ranked 41st, and Night Sorrow kept challenging people who were 10 ranks higher than her. Then she would have to face Night Sorrow because Qin Zhan was ranked ahead of her, at the tail end of the top 10. Qin Zhan clenched his fists but did not speak. Huang Qian was nothing to him, but Huang Qian's senior sister, Lan Yu, was very powerful, having been stuck at the peak of element gathering tier for a year. The one ranked 81st was also in the 9th level of element gathering tier. He began to use the same tactics as Wan Chun, but the result was the same. Night Sorrow's body was very strong, and he displayed the chasing wind spear arts to its fullest potential. He could not withstand it, so he could only admit defeat when he was at a disadvantage. That way he would not lose face. Next, the 71st ranked also admitted defeat. Night Sorrow did not intend to rest. This kind of battle did not consume much of his energy. Next, Chu Lingxiao called the one ranked 61st. My name is Chen Yun, I admit defeat. The 61st ranked Chen Yun stepped onto the stage and smiled at Night Sorrow, then bowed slightly to Chu Lingxiao. Bastard, shouldn't you at least fight a few rounds before admitting defeat? A middle-aged man not far behind Chu Lingxiao scolded. He was Chu Lingxiao's junior brother, and also Chen Yun's master. Master, I really can't beat him. If I continue to fight, wouldn't that be embarrassing? Why don't I preserve my strength and deal with others later? Chen Yun said to the middle-aged man. And if you can't keep 61st, see how I'll deal with you. Chen Yun's master glanced at Chen Yun, then sat down. The one ranked 51st was a ruthless character. His surname was Shi Yunhai. After he stepped onto the stage, he quickly approached Night Sorrow, and engaged in close combat with Night Sorrow. After the close combat, Night Sorrow realized how difficult it was to deal with Shi Yunhai. With a short blade in one hand and a fist in the other, he attacked Night Sorrow's vitals. The most ruthless part was that his hands were often twisted, and he could attack in the opposite direction. It was extremely strange. Knight Sorrow recalled Aoi's words. The number 1 on the Yuan leaderboard was called Yunxiao. His family's innate ability was to counter joint attacks. This Yunhai was naturally a member of the Shi family. Facing such a situation, Knight Sorrow pulled out the sky-piercing spear from his waist and engaged in close combat with Yunhai. He relied on the vibration force to restrain his opponent's short blade and then blocked his opponent's fist. However, this was not enough to force Yunhai to retreat. Dong. Knight Sorrow exerted force with his right hand and stabbed the reincarnation spear into the limestone floor. Once again he took out the sky-piercing spear. With the sky-piercing spear in his 2 hands, he executed the wind-chasing spear art and began to randomly stab Yunhai. Sometimes he even ignored Yunhai's left fist and directly attacked with the sky-piercing spear. It was a completely lose-lose battle. After a few rounds, Yunhai was forced to retreat by Knight Sorrow. I say this method of yours is too shameless. Is there a need to use a mutually destructive method in a competition between fellow disciples? Yunhai said in a somewhat depressed tone. It's not a mutually destructive method. Both of you hit each other at the same time. You'll be heavily injured, but he'll be fine. The Great Elder opened his eyes and said, "Is what the Great Elder said true?" Yunhai did not doubt the Great Elder. He instinctively looked towards Knight Sorrow to seek confirmation. I've been blocking your short blade and ignoring your fist. Your fist can't seriously injure me. At most, it will hurt for a while. I'm willing to accept your fist. If I'm fine, then you admit defeat. Knight Sorrow said. He did not want to be entangled in this matter. He could see that Yunhai's attacks were strange and varied, but his strength was insufficient. His speed of true chi was not as fast as Wan Chun's. That's fine. I'm not shameless. In a battle, my left fist can at most use 70% of its strength. Adding in your evasion, I can only use 60% of my strength. If I can't push you back by 3 steps, then I admit defeat. Martial Uncle Chu, if I lose, please give him some time to rest. Yunhai bowed towards Chu Lingxiao. And although Knight Sorrow is at a disadvantage, you're also straightforward. After all, in a battle you can still throw out such a punch and hit your target. The advantage you have is that you can avoid one of Knight Sorrow's attacks. In fact, Knight Sorrow will pull back at the end and will not seriously injure you. Chu Lingxiao nodded. Knight Sorrow put away his reincarnation spear and the energy of the myriad Tao Tome began to circulate. Come, don't hit my face. Pucci. Yunhai, who was about to throw out a punch, let out a breath and could not help but laugh. Not only Yunhai but many people also laughed. Knight Sorrow's words at such a crucial moment were unbearable and hurt them internally. Knight Sorrow spoke very seriously. He was afraid that Yunhai would act recklessly and hit his face. That would not be good. After taking a breath, Yunhai took a step forward and punched Knight Sorrow's left shoulder. He did not have any ill intentions and aimed for the chest, lower abdomen, and other vital areas. Bang. After hitting Knight Sorrow, Yunhai took 2 steps back. Knight Sorrow's body swayed a little, but he stood still. Although it was a little painful, the energy of the myriad Tao Tome circulated 2 rounds and there was no problem. Fine, you're ruthless enough. You took a punch from me, so I owe you a drink. I lose. After cupping his hands towards Knight Sorrow, Yunhai looked at Chu Lingxiao and admitted defeat. Knight Sorrow, you are now ranked 51st on the Yuan board. Do you want to rest for a while or give up? Chu Lingxiao asked. Knight Sorrow shook his left arm and said, No need, I'll continue. I'll challenge 41st. The people on the Yuan board were astonished. Knight Sorrow was too savage, almost like a monster. Scammer. Huang Qian looked at Qin Zhan again and came to the stage. Knight Sorrow looked at Huang Qian and said, Please enlighten me. I'm not as strong as you, and I'm also not as good as you in close combat. What's the point of fighting? I'll give you the 41st place. When you can challenge your target, beat him up. Martial Uncle Chu, I admit defeat. Huang Qian quickly muttered a few words and then admitted defeat. She knew that she was not Knight Sorrow's opponent, so she did not plan to fight to the death. Fine, if you're not satisfied with your current ranking, you can fight your way back. Chu Lingxiao smiled. Thank you for your encouragement, Martial Uncle Chu. I'll see if there are any rookies I can bully. There are, I'll challenge them. Huang Qian smiled and got off the stage. Knight Sorrow, it seems you still want to continue fighting. 31st, who's 31st? Hurry up and come down. Chu Lingxiao did not wait for Knight Sorrow to speak and directly shouted at the disciples on the Yuan board. A fair-skinned youth came down and said, Uncle Master Chu, I'm no match for him. Let's not waste time and not block his path. I'm anxious to see which unlucky bastard is causing trouble. He's really in trouble. Good, that's a good attitude. I'll say it again, you all have one chance to challenge. If you're not satisfied with your current name, you can continue to challenge, Chu Lingxiao said. Chapter 137. Next was the 21st place. He was Xuanhuan, a disciple of Green Rock Peak. Night Sorrow had seen this person when Gong Xian had found the entrance to the alternate dimension. After Xuanhuan got on the stage, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, "One must know their limits. Biting off more than you can chew won't end well. Why are you talking so much nonsense? You are not qualified to teach me a lesson." After hearing Xuanhuan's words, Night Sorrow was very unhappy. It was mainly because Xuanhuan had used a lecturing tone. Then let me see how strong you are and how fierce your spear technique is. After Xuanhuan finished speaking, he smashed a copper rod in his hand towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow did not dodge and swung his reincarnation spear. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow took a step back. Xuanhuan also took a few steps back. He was very strong, but with the power of his true qi, he was still inferior to Night Sorrow. After pushing Xuanhuan back, Night Sorrow's feet trembled. He rushed forward and swung his reincarnation spear again towards Xuanhuan's head. Xuanhuan was good at strength but not speed. He could not dodge Night Sorrow's spear at all. He could only hold the copper rod with both hands to block. He had blocked Night Sorrow's spear, but his trembling arms and unstoppable body showed that he was much weaker than Night Sorrow in a head-on collision. Again. Night Sorrow's body spun horizontally in the air. The reincarnation spear once again swung towards Xuanhuan's head. This time he used the energy in his body. It could be considered Night Sorrow's full strength. Night Sorrow was not afraid of anyone below the third rank, let alone Xuanhuan, who had never cultivated his body. Since Xuanhuan was good at strength, Night Sorrow would defeat him in strength. Bang! Another muffled sound was heard. Xuanhuan's rod was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear. His hands were bleeding, and the web between his thumb and index finger was split open. His body fell to the ground and blood slowly seeped out from under his knees. My master, senior brother, and sister can teach me a lesson, but you? Why? Yi Shang coldly glared at Xuanhuan. Night Sorrow wins. Men helped Xuanhuan down. Chu Lingxiao announced the result. Continue or rest? After arranging Xuanhuan's matters, Chu Lingxiao looked at Night Sorrow. Continue? Night Sorrow nodded. A woman walked out from the Yuan ranking. Master, his talent is amazing. I'm not his match. I admit defeat. Yes, everyone's talent is different. A cultivator's achievement depends on one's talent and the other on their hard work. When you see other people's talent, think about their hard work. In the future you will be able to do the same. Chu Lingxiao said to his disciple. Thank you for your help. Night Sorrow bowed to the woman. Night Sorrow, there are still 10 people in front of you. Who will you choose? Chu Lingxiao knew that the main event was about to begin. Xianxia, come out. Night Sorrow finally had to face Xianxia. He pointed his reincarnation spear at the Yuan ranking disciple's seat and roared. Now, all the disciples of the Medicine Valley knew who Night Sorrow's target was and who had provoked him. Xianxia's face was ashen as he walked out from the Yuan ranking disciple's seat. Let's fight on the arena. Night Sorrow growled at Xianxia. You are really aggressive. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Let's see who's afraid of who. Xianxia walked onto the arena. I know you're not afraid of me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have blocked the entrance when I came to the Medicine Valley to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony. However, I want to tell you that I wasn't afraid of you back then and I definitely won't be today, Night Sorrow said as he brandished his reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow's words caused a commotion. Tianyue Peak's Jin Kan and Luo Daoyuan's faces were unsightly because everyone knew what was going on. When Night Sorrow came to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony, Xianxia used his cultivation to bully him. How exciting! Qian Wu's face was ashen as he looked at Jin Kan recently. Su Qunbai had embarrassed him and now Jin Kan was involved in this matter. While they were talking, the two started fighting. At this moment, a very handsome man came to the Yuan ranking disciple's seat. With his arrival, the Yuan ranking disciples quieted down. This person was the first on the Yuan ranking, Shi Yunxiao. Cousin is here. I've lost, Shi Yunhai said to Shi Yunxiao. You're not convinced? Shi Yunxiao sat down and asked. No, I'm convinced, Shi Yunhai said. At the same time he talked about Night Sorrow's situation. He's very ferocious. He didn't rest and directly rushed to the end to fight Xianxia. His target is Xianxia, Feng Yan said. I heard their conversation just now. Xianxia is indeed a bit outrageous. However, this brat is also quite ferocious, Yunxiao said as he looked at the two who were already fighting on the arena. It's not a brat. It's Martial Uncle, the last disciple of Martial Uncle Lu. Senior brother Shi, how long do you plan to occupy the yuan ranking? Enlightenment said. A. Unspecified currency first. Sent asterisk. I don't intend to continue occupying it. Today I came out to get some fresh air. After that, I will return to my cultivation retreat. If you want to challenge me, you can just take it, Shi Yunxiao said with a chuckle. The battle on the arena became more intense. Xianxia was indeed very strong, or else he wouldn't have been able to occupy 9th place on the Origin Proclamation. He had been in the peak stage of element gathering tier for quite some time, and his cultivation had been stable for a long time. His battle experience was also very rich, and he could be considered to be at the peak of element gathering tier. However, in front of Night Sorrow, he didn't have the slightest bit of advantage. Night Sorrow executed the dragon leap steps to the limit and brandished his reincarnation spear. He flicked, stabbed, smashed and swept. Spear after spear continuously attacked Xianxia. Xianxia relied on his movement technique to dodge. He didn't dare to receive Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear head-on. There were many examples of him clashing head-on with Night Sorrow, and none of them had a good ending. The reason he was able to persist was because Xianxia's movement technique was indeed very agile. He dodged all of Night Sorrow's attacks. This guy is really embarrassing. He should just run around on the arena. What kind of battle is this? Huang Qian was very dissatisfied with Xianxia. If it wasn't for Xianxia, she wouldn't have lost her 41st place. Although it's quite embarrassing, Xianxia's battle strategy is correct. After all, Night Sorrow's attacks are too fierce. Not only are his attacks fierce, they also have the power of vibration. As long as his weapon touches you, you will be bounced back and unable to continue the battle, Lan Yu said. Interesting. A 4th level element gathering tier martial artist has such battle prowess. Our Medicine Valley actually produced such a heaven-defying character. Shi Yunxiao clenched his hands together, and the joints of his hands made ka-ka sounds. This caused the people on the Origin Proclamation to be stunned. Those who were ranked at the top of the Origin Proclamation were almost all friends. Sometimes they would even do sect missions together, so they were all familiar with each other. Shi Yunxiao's action showed that he had the desire to battle. On the arena, Xianxia relied on his movement technique to dodge, but was still forced to a corner by Night Sorrow, who was wielding his reincarnation spear. Chapter 138. Looking at Night Sorrow's sweeping spear, Xianxia jumped up to dodge. He didn't dare to retreat because if he did, he would fall off the stage. Seeing Xianxia jump up, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear paused and stabbed it into the ground. He held the sky-piercing spear in both hands and rushed towards Xianxia. Aren't you fast? Then let's fight in close quarters and not give you the chance to display your speed. Seeing Night Sorrow take out the short spear, Xuanhuan shivered. Playing like this again? This guy doesn't want to win. He just wants to ruthlessly mess with Xianxia. Lan Yu said. Yes, this guy has the intention to kill. I can see it from his eyes. Shi Yunxiao nodded and said. This guy really can't be provoked. Whoever provokes him will be unlucky. He really holds a grudge. Xuanhuan said with a smile. It can't be said that he holds a grudge. It's just that Xianxia is too inhumane. I am the clearest about this matter. At that time I was in charge of Xiaogu Town's safety. Xianxia went to the inn and blocked someone's door. He even wanted to fight. If this happened to us, we wouldn't be able to get away with it. Enlightenment explained the situation that day in detail. You were in charge of Xiaogu Town's safety. He was so arrogant, why didn't you teach him a lesson? Lan Yu looked at Enlightenment and said. At that time safety was the priority. I couldn't act recklessly. You guys don't know. He even used Lin Tianjua to pressure me. His character is really good. Enlightenment sighed and said. When Xianxia landed, Night Sorrow got close. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand stabbed towards Xianxia's neck and the sky-piercing spear in his left hand aimed at Xianxia's lower abdomen. Seeing Night Sorrow's double spear, Xianxia's expression changed. He saw the battle between Night Sorrow and Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan was so strong in close combat but he still lost. His close combat ability was not as good as Xuanhuan's. Shock was shock, fear was fear, but the battle still had to continue. Xianxia waved the long sword in his hand and blocked Night Sorrow's short spear. Ding! Xianxia's long sword was shaken away. In his anxiety, Xuanhuan forgot that Night Sorrow's weapon should not be touched. After shaking off Xuanhuan's sword, Yishang's two short spears landed on Xuanhuan's body. Although they were slightly off target, they still pierced Xuanhuan's body. The sky-piercing spear in Yishang's right hand pierced Qin Tian's shoulder while the sky-piercing spear in his left hand pierced Xuanhuan's waist. I admit defeat. When Night Sorrow was about to continue stabbing, Xuanhuan quickly shouted these three words. Stop. Chu Ling Xiao hurriedly stopped Night Sorrow from continuing. Glancing at Xuanhuan, Night Sorrow pulled out a pair of sky-piercing spears and retreated. You admit defeat quickly. If you have the ability, continue to threaten me in the future. Someone come help Xuanhuan down. Chu Ling Xiao shouted and ordered the disciples to bring Xuanhuan down. Translator. Tim Editor, Globe Glotter, you're now ranked 10th on the Yuan ranking. Do you still want to continue? Chu Ling Xiao asked. No. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to offend too many people. Today's matter was already very extreme. If he continued, he would become the public enemy of the Yuan ranking. Alright, you can go down. The Yuan ranking challenges still have to continue. Chu Ling Xiao also let out a sigh of relief. Night Sorrow's continuous challenges had made him nervous. Wait a moment. Shi Yunxiao walked out from the Yuan ranking's seat. Night Sorrow turned to look at Shi Yunxiao. When they're done, can we exchange pointers? Shi Yunxiao looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Sure. Night Sorrow nodded. I'm Shi Yunxiao. Shi Yunxiao announced his name. I'm Night Sorrow. Are you here to vent for Shi Yunhai? Night Sorrow frowned. No, Yunhai wants to treat you to a drink. If he doesn't mind, why should I? Not everyone in the Medicine Valley is narrow-minded. I just want to exchange pointers and then go into seclusion, Shi Yunxiao said with a smile. Alright, we'll do it later. Hearing that Shi Yunxiao wasn't looking for trouble, Night Sorrow felt a little better. He liked Shi Yunhai's character and didn't want to see someone like Xuanhuan again. He was very satisfied with Shi Yunxiao's answer. When Night Sorrow returned to his seat at Taishan Peak, he received enthusiastic cheers. Chu Ning and Tang Tian's voices were especially loud. Stop shouting. Let your 13th uncle rest for a while. Yang Lei glared at Chu Ning and the others before letting Night Sorrow sit beside her. 13th uncle, the Shi family is straightforward. They really just want to exchange pointers with you. They don't have any ill intentions, Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow. I know. Night Sorrow nodded. He had a strong intuition for danger, malice, and kindness. Shi Yunxiao only had battle intent and no murderous aura. Yi Chang left the arena, and the battle on the arena became intense once again. The other members who were qualified to challenge each other began to challenge each other. They had all been motivated by Yi Chang's battles. Yi Chang had never been ranked and he had fought his way into the top 10. Cousin, you really want to exchange pointers with Night Sorrow? Shi Yunhai asked Shi Yunxiao from the Yuan leaderboard. Yes, he didn't use his full strength in the previous battle, so I want to fight him. Lan Yu, enlightenment, if I lose then the first place on the Yuan leaderboard will have nothing to do with you, Shi Yunxiao said to Lan Yu, enlightenment, and the others. Senior Shi, if you don't go easy on him I'll take the first place, Lan Yu said. Of course I'll take it, enlightenment nodded. They all recognized Shi Yunxiao's strength. He deserved to be first place on the Yuan leaderboard. The battle continued. Only 4 of the 30 people who were qualified to challenge succeeded and entered the top 10. However, they all failed if they continued to challenge. The strength of the veteran Yuan leaderboard members was not fake. After the 30 newcomers finished their challenges, it was time for the veteran Yuan leaderboard disciples to fight for the rankings. As long as they didn't challenge the top 10 in front of them, they could challenge. Night Sorrow closed his eyes to recover. Although these few battles didn't consume much of his energy, he had to maintain his peak state when facing the shockingly talented Shi Yunxiao. He didn't care about winning or losing, he just wanted to fight. After 4 hours, the Yuan leaderboard challenges ended. Those who wanted to challenge had all challenged. Other than the top 10, the positions behind had all changed. However, the changes weren't big. They were all disciples of the Yuan leaderboard and everyone knew it better. After the Yuan leaderboard challenges ended, Night Sorrow stood up and walked towards the stage. Sorry, I just wanted to spar with you. Seeing Night Sorrow on the stage, Shi Yunxiao also walked up to the stage. There's nothing to be sorry about. Fighting is the fastest way to improve one's strength. It's just for a fight, not for winning or losing, Night Sorrow said. Well said, I like your temper. After the sect tournament, I'll go into seclusion. However, I'll remember to drink with you, Shi Yunxiao said with a smile. Okay, no matter if it's a fight or a drink, I'll accompany you anytime, Night Sorrow said. Xuanhuan took 2 steps back and put on a boxing glove on his right hand. Chapter 139. After fighting with Xuanhuan, Night Sorrow knew that the Xur family's close combat ability was strong and fast. The reincarnation spear was long, so if he couldn't stop the opponent from getting close, then he might as well give up. An inch longer was an inch stronger, but if the opponent got close, then it would be a burden. Look at 4 small TC CHV Yong long time for you 0 fee. Good. Come. Xuanhuan nodded towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow stomped his right foot and jumped into the air, thrusting the sky-piercing spear towards Xuanhuan's chest. Facing Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear, Xuanhuan didn't back off. Instead he punched out with his right fist. Ding. The glove smashed onto the tip of the sky-piercing spear, producing a crisp sound. Then Night Sorrow was forced back 3 steps. Night Sorrow thought that Xuanhuan wouldn't take this attack head-on, so he didn't use the oscillating force. After pushing Night Sorrow back with 1 punch, Xuanhuan took 2 steps forward and punched towards Night Sorrow with his left fist. Night Sorrow didn't back off. He raised his left hand and slapped towards Xuanhuan. When he raised his hand, a faint red energy halo appeared on his left hand. Bang! With a muffled sound, Xuanhuan was pushed back by Night Sorrow's palm. At the same time, his left arm was trembling. He had miscalculated. He thought that Night Sorrow would back off, but Night Sorrow counterattacked. This was because he had condensed true chi in his left hand and protected his left arm. Otherwise he would have been heavily injured. After pushing Xuanhuan back with 1 palm, Night Sorrow took another step forward. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand pierced towards Xuanhuan's left chest. He raised his left hand and used the Zhenyu hand to attack Xuanhuan again. Xuanhuan's body shook, but he didn't back off. Instead he used both hands to attack Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear and his left hand's Zhenyu hand. Xuanhuan's strength was close combat. If he pulled away, then he wouldn't have any advantage. With another muffled sound, Xuanhuan was pushed back again. This shocked the members of the Yuan ranking and the other peak masters. Xuanhuan was an existence that no one could contend against on the origin roll. He had been in the top 10 of the origin roll ever since he was in the 6th level of element gathering tier, and had then become the first. This year was the 3rd year he had been on the origin roll, and it was the 3rd year he had been in the limelight. No one said that Xuanhuan's cultivation was slow, because Xuanhuan's Zhenqi cultivation was incomparably solid. Whenever he could break through, he would suppress it in order to accumulate enough energy to break through. But now Night Sorrow had pushed him back twice. After pushing Xuanhuan back, Night Sorrow's body quickly moved forward. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand continued to attack Xuanhuan's left chest, while the light red energy in his left hand continued to attack Xuanhuan. This time Xuanhuan wasn't as calm as the previous 2 times. He was pushed back a few steps, and the robe on the left side of his chest was also cut open by Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear. This was because his right fist didn't manage to push the sky-piercing spear away. Following that, he flipped his body and used his second attack to push the sky-piercing spear away. After pushing Xuanhuan back, Night Sorrow retreated a few steps and pulled out the reincarnation spear that was stuck in the ground. The energy of the 10,000 Dao Tome in his body could still support 1 Zhenyu hand, but it would affect the rest of the battle. In addition, 3 consecutive Zhenyu hands had used up more than half of Xuanhuan's Zhenqi. Night Sorrow had achieved his goal, and his Zhenqi hadn't been used up much. Logically speaking, I should admit defeat, but I still want to fight. Xuanhuan's empty left hand took out a short blade. It doesn't matter if I win or lose, I only want to fight. Night Sorrow threw out the first sentence and put away the sky-piercing spear. If he didn't use up Xuanhuan's Zhenqi, Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to control Xuanhuan's close combat. Because Xuanhuan's Zhenqi was abundant, he could rely on his Zhenqi to neutralize the vibrating force, and thus close combat. Now this threat didn't exist, and this was also the reason why Night Sorrow didn't use the reincarnation spear in the beginning, and picked it up again now. Xuanhuan's feet shook, and he charged towards Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Sorrow also made his move. He used the dragon leaping steps, and the reincarnation spear in his hand was like a flood dragon. He flicked, stabbed, swept, and hacked, and he continuously pushed back Xuanhuan, who was about to engage in close combat. What's going on? Huang Qian was a little surprised. In the previous few clashes, senior martial brother Xur had used up more than half of his Zhenqi. That monster, Martial Uncle Knight, didn't use up much of his Zhenqi, so senior martial brother sure couldn't resist the vibrating force of the spear. Lan Yu said. Martial Uncle Knight, not only is his battle prowess astonishing, his control of the battle is also extraordinary. If there are no accidents, senior martial brother sure will lose. Enlightenment also saw the situation clearly. Following the explosion of Night Sorrow's chasing wind spear arts and the vibrating force, Xuanhuan was constantly pushed back by Night Sorrow. Often, after blocking with his short blade, Xuanhuan had to use his right hand to attack in order to completely push aside the attacks of Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. After a few rounds, Xuanhuan was forced to a corner of the arena by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow fiercely thrust out his spear, and this spear's vibrating force was added to the tip of the spear. He wanted to first knock away Xuanhuan's short blade, and then he would win. Facing Night Sorrow's fierce spear, Xuanhuan's expression changed. His body twisted irregularly and his waist twisted, and his body stuck close to the ground as he dodged. Boom! Night Sorrow's spear exploded on a pillar at the edge of the arena, blasting a large hole in the pillar, and surrounding it were numerous cracks. Stop! Xuanhuan, who had flipped his body and stood up, shouted. His face was red, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His body couldn't stop trembling. Are you okay? Night Sorrow could see that something was wrong with Xuanhuan. I forcefully used a secret technique that I couldn't control. I can't continue fighting. Xuanhuan said with a bitter smile. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow said apologetically. He really didn't want to injure Xuanhuan. It's nothing. You think too much. I Martial Uncle Chu have lost. The first place on the Yuan ranking is his. Xuanhuan looked at Chu Lingxiao and said. This is a spirit concentration pill. Eat it first to stabilize your true qi and injuries. Chu Lingxiao went forward to support Xuanhuan. This was magnanimity. Although Xuanhuan wasn't Chu Lingxiao's disciple, he was an elite of the Medicine Valley, and also the future of the Medicine Valley. Therefore, Chu Lingxiao wasn't stingy with his pills. This was also the reason why the older generation of the Medicine Valley had a good impression of Chu Lingxiao. You've won. However, whether you can keep the first place on the Yuan ranking is your problem. Remember, there's still a drink. Xuanhuan left the arena after saying that. Junior brother Night Sorrow, go and rest for a while. Perhaps there will be others who will challenge you. The first place on the Yuan ranking isn't that easy to occupy. Chu Lingxiao said. I came up this time to exchange pointers, not to fight for a ranking. Whoever wants the first place on the Yuan ranking can have it. Night Sorrow felt a little guilty. His last spear had been too violent, causing Xuanhuan to be injured. This wasn't the result he wanted. Chapter 140. Great Elder. Night Sorrow bowed slightly. What's the Yuan board? It's the ranking of all the energy-gathering stage disciples in the Medicine Valley. If you don't care about this ranking, it's an insult to all the energy-gathering stage disciples and also a blasphemy to your own efforts. The Great Elder tapped the ground with his cane and looked at Night Sorrow with a serious expression. Disciple understands. I'm willing to accept another challenge. Night Sorrow bowed slightly to the Great Elder. It's good that you understand. Xuanhuan is on the verge of breaking through, so he can't stay at the top of the list. That's why he used a battle to decide who gets first place. He chose to spar with you, which means he recognizes you. The Great Elder glanced at Yi Shang, then sat down. Junior brother Knight, why do we work so hard to cultivate? It's to strengthen ourselves. It's for the glory of standing at the peak. This glory isn't just for you, it's also for your master, Taishan Peak in Medicine Valley. Young people don't need to hide their strength and bide their time. When it's time to fight, fight. Chu Lingxiao patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said. Night Sorrow returned to his seat at Taishan Peak and sat down. Everyone at Taishan Peak was quiet. They all knew that Night Sorrow was still young and hadn't experienced much. The battle with Xuanhuan was a battle. Night Sorrow felt guilty about Xuanhuan's injury and his emotions were unstable. Therefore no one disturbed them. After calming down, Night Sorrow sat up straight. Have you thought it through? Yang Lei asked. Night Sorrow nodded and said. #original first, then why don't you take the pill to recover? Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said. If someone challenges me, the battle will start very quickly. There's no time. Night Sorrow shook his head and said. He didn't use much true qi, but he didn't have much energy left in his body. He couldn't recover in a short time. Idiot, eat a drop of medicinal cauldron spirit liquid. You can't lose first place on the Yuan leaderboard. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Okay. Knight Sorrow had never used the medicinal cauldron spirit liquid before. Okay, in addition to assisting cultivation, the medicinal cauldron spirit liquid can also instantly restore cultivators below the core condensation stage to their best state. The auxiliary effect is always there is no waste. Gong Xian said. Upon hearing Gong Xian's words, Knight Sorrow took out the jade bottle that contained the medicinal cauldron spirit liquid and took out a drop. After consuming it, he closed his eyes to feel it. The situation was different from what everyone had expected. No one in the top 10 on the Yuan ranking challenged Knight Sorrow. Firstly, they felt that they were no match for Knight Sorrow. Secondly, it would be an unfair victory. Anyone who could enter the top 10 on the Yuan ranking should be proud. Then Yen Beibei stood up and announced the end of the Yuan ranking challenge. Some law enforcement disciples of the Medicine Valley carried the Yuan ranking tablet down. The tablet was to be sent back to the Yuan ranking Dao-seeking cliff. The Yuan ranking tablet and the Elixir ranking tablet were both at the Dao-seeking cliff. That was also the place where the disciples of the Medicine Valley challenged and learned from each other. The people of Taishan Peak did not move because Knight Sorrow was in a meditative state. The Great Elder walked over. Gong Xian, Knight Sorrow is a good person, but he is still a little immature mentally. You can't say that. He is indeed young. As the great senior brother, you should pay more attention to him. I understand. Gong Xian bowed and said. Not long after the Great Elder and the others left, Knight Sorrow opened his eyes. Where is everyone? Looking up, Knight Sorrow realized that the Great Elder and some of the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley had disappeared. Some of the disciples on the Yuan ranking were looking at the marks left behind by Knight Sorrow's last shot. The Yuan ranking challenge is over. 13. You are the pride of Taishan Peak. There are precedents of newcomers entering the Yuan ranking directly, but they are also the tail of the Yuan ranking, not to mention entering the top 10. You took first place. This is the glory that everyone wants, Gong Xian said as he patted Knight Sorrow on the shoulder. Great senior brother, I want to see Yunxiao. Knight Sorrow said after some thought. I'll go with you. Yang Lei said. Gong Xian nodded and left with his people. Yang Lei and Knight Sorrow walked towards the back of Danding Peak. Yunxiao was the disciple of Danding Peak's second-generation disciple, Mu. He was also Mu's nephew. Mu was the second disciple of the Valley Master. He was very strong and was not inferior to Chu Lingxiao. However, he was not good at socializing, so he was not well known in the Medicine Valley. At the entrance of the valley where Mu was, Knight Sorrow met the servant disciple. Announced that Taishan Peak's Yang Lei. Knight Sorrow is here to visit Yunxiao. Yang Lei said to the servant disciple. Just as Yang Lei was speaking, a middle-aged man in a loose short robe appeared. Junior sister Yang is here. Just come in. What's the need to announce? Yang Lei greets senior brother Shi. It's like this. During the Yuan board battle today, my junior brother fought with Yunxiao. Yunxiao seemed to be injured, so I'm here to visit. Yang Lei explained the purpose of her visit. Yunxiao didn't look well when he came back, but his face was full of excitement. Then he went into seclusion. He's fine. Junior brother? Junior sister Yang, which Uncle Master's disciple is this junior brother? The man in the loose short robe, Mu, looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. He's my master's last disciple, ranked 13th. He was accepted during the disciple recruitment ceremony this year. 13. Come and greet senior brother Shi. Yang Lei introduced Yunxiao to Mu. Knight Sorrow greets senior brother. Knight Sorrow cupped his fists and bowed. Not bad. You're full of vigor and have a solid foundation. Yunxiao won't mind winning or losing. You're not injured at all. Come in and have some tea. Mu brought Yang Lei and Knight Sorrow into the loft in the valley. Many disciples of the Yuan board stood in front of the pillars beside the arena in the square. This is ironwood. 1,000-year-old ironwood was reduced to this state by a single spear strike. What would happen if this spear struck a person? A disciple of the Yuan board said with some emotion. Directly exploding. His bones and tendons are all shattered and his flesh and blood splattered. Feng Yin made an exaggerated gesture. This guy is too abnormal. Who knows how long he'll occupy the Yuan board? He's only a 4th-level element gathering tier now. Feng Yin shook his head. If he doesn't move his butt, no one can move him. This is without a doubt. Huang Qian reached out and touched the pillar. Wood powder fell down. This power is too shameless. Let's not talk about it anymore. I'm going back to cultivate. You guys be careful. If I can't take him down, I'll take you guys down. Yunhai shouted at Enlightenment and the others and left. Seeing Xuanhuan leave, the members of the Yuan board were at a loss. Those below Xuanhuan were still fine. He couldn't possibly turn around and challenge them. However, those above him were vexed. The members of the Shi clan were all abnormal. Xianxia was like that, and so was Xuanhuan. It was just that his cultivation was low. It's going to be a mess, Enlightenment said with a smile. Xuanhuan's words were very arrogant, but no one was bothered by it. That was because the members of the Shi clan were straightforward and easy to get along with. They wouldn't bully others. The Shi clan was a large clan in the Medicine Valley. The elders above were all members of the Shi clan. However, the disciples of the Shi clan were usually like ordinary disciples. They didn't have any sense of superiority and relied on their own efforts. Chapter 141. Night Sorrow was speechless. The Xuanhuan was too heartless. Impudent. Come and greet your 13th martial uncle. Shirmu glared at Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan greets martial uncle. Xuanhuan bowed to Night Sorrow. I'm here to see your brother. Yishang explained his purpose for coming. My cousin should be fine. It's just that his cultivation isn't high enough, so he forced himself to use the spirit snake movement. This means that my brother has no problem entering the core condensation stage. Xuanhuan said. Then Shirmu briefly explained the situation to Night Sorrow. The Shi family's innate bloodline allowed them to twist their joints. Before entering the core condensation stage, they could only twist their limbs. The spirit snake movement could only be used after entering the core condensation stage. It was the twisting of the waist bones. Xuanhuan forced himself to use it, so he was injured. But after using it, there was no big problem. Knowing that Xuanhuan was fine, Night Sorrow planned to leave. Hey, let's drink and do missions together when we have time. Xuanhuan waved to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled and left. The Shi family was very popular. It made sense. Ordinary people couldn't be as open-minded as them. Back at Taishan Peak, Night Sorrow saw Jianghu in the Taishan Hall. Not bad. First place on the Yuan ranking. This way you won't be criticized for having the heaven rank treatment. Work hard. Just now, the Great Elder came and hoped that you can participate in the Golden Flame Sect's power struggle. But it's still a bit far. Jianghu said. The Great Elder might not be satisfied with my performance today. Night Sorrow said. Then Yang Lei explained to Jianghu that the Great Elder's attitude changed because Night Sorrow didn't compete. That's nothing. However, Great Elder is right. When it's time to fight, we have to fight. There's something that none of you know about. Today Master will tell you about it. Jianghu gestured for Yang Lei and Night Sorrow to sit down. Then he explained some things that even Yang Lei didn't know. Providence. In the world of cultivation there had always been a saying about luck. Those who had great luck would have a smoother cultivation process. In addition, they would also have more opportunities than ordinary people. Where did luck come from? When some people were born, they were blessed with good fortune. The other type of fortune was obtained through hard work and hard work. The way to compete was to attract attention and accumulate fame. The higher one's fame, the more luck one would have. For example, the Medicine Valley's Yuan leaderboard would attract people's attention and attention. This was a kind of fame. 13 has a chance to gain fame. What about me? Yang Lei was a little conflicted. She didn't know about this secret before. It's simple. Cultivate hard and then walk out of the Medicine Valley. Go out and fight, Jianghu said. In addition, Jianghu gave an example of why he was valued by the Medicine Valley's Grand Elder and had a chance to become the next Valley Master. It was because he had gained some fame in his early years outside and was valued. This was fame. With fame, things would go smoothly. This was the simplest manifestation of luck. On the second day, Night Sorrow wanted to watch the alchemy leaderboard competition. However, Jianghu brought him to do something else. It could be said that they were going to meet someone. Jianghu brought Night Sorrow to the back of Danding Peak's main hall. There was a 6-story, ancient-looking pavilion. The front and back of the pavilion were occupied by the Medicine Valley's elite disciples. After arriving at the library, Jianghu said to Night Sorrow, I'm here to meet your Grandmaster today. My Grandmaster is in the library? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Yes. Sometimes he is in the worship tower. Sometimes he is in the library. He is the guardian of the library. Jianghu nodded. With the token in hand, Jianghu went directly to the top floor of the library. He then knocked on the door of a room. Come in. An old voice rang out. After opening the door, Night Sorrow saw a white-haired but kind-looking old man. The old man was sitting cross-legged on a futon. 13. Greetings to your Grandmaster. Xianxia said to Night Sorrow. Disciple Night Sorrow greets Grandmaster. Night Sorrow bowed to the old man. Not bad. You are full of energy and vigor. The old man nodded to Night Sorrow. He took the title of Newcomer King and Yuan Leaderboard Champion yesterday. So I brought him here to meet Grandmaster. Xianxia bowed. The old man stood up. His eyes glowed as he sized up Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow felt as if he had been seen through. There were no secrets left. Not bad. Not bad at all. Xianxia, you have a good eye for disciples. The old man nodded in satisfaction. He is hardworking. Very hardworking. Moreover, he has already mastered the Zhenyu hand. He can use it a few times in a row. Xianxia did not shy away from praising Night Sorrow. Mastered the Zhenyu hand? Then I have a suitable weapon. The old man waved his hand and took out a claw glove. He handed it to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took it and looked at it. He found that it was a soft, hollow claw glove. It was made of light blue metal thread. The back of the hand was not exposed. It could block the damage from sharp blades. The palm was mostly exposed. However, at the joints of the fingers and the palm, there was a thin rope made of metal thread. If the quality was high, it could block the damage from sharp weapons. The sky blue glove is made of sky blue silk. It can block the damage from sharp weapons. It does not block energy attacks. Similarly, it will not affect your heaven-covering hand. The old man said. Thank you, Grandmaster. Night Sorrow put on the glove and stretched his hand and fingers. He felt very relaxed. He was very satisfied. All right. You can go back now. I will look for you later. Xianxia still had things to say to the old man, so he let Night Sorrow go first. Night Sorrow left the library. As he walked, he studied the sky blue glove. He knew what material it was made of. Translator. Nioibo Studio Editor. Nioibo Studio. The heaven green silk was the silk spat out by the heaven green silkworm. There were records regarding the heaven green silkworm in the Fey Encyclopedia. The heaven green silkworm survived by eating metallic green hillock sand. The heaven green silkworm wasn't afraid of sharp blades, but it was afraid of fire. Night Sorrow understood that the sky blue glove could accompany him until he reached Tier 4. Once he reached Tier 4, the glove would be useless. Tier 4 practitioners had alchemy fire. Normally, alchemy fire did not have much power, but it could destroy the sky blue glove. After studying the sky blue glove, Night Sorrow sat on Qianyu and returned to Taishan Peak. He then put on the sky blue glove and began practicing the Zhenyu hand. Chapter 142. Just as Night Sorrow hurried out of the bamboo grove and was about to ride Tianyu to the square, Gong Xian and the others came back. 11th Senior Brother, I'm sorry. I just went out with Master. When I came back, I was so focused on cultivating that I forgot to cheer you on, Night Sorrow said apologetically. There's no need to cheer. Your 11th Senior Brother was just like you. He went from no ranking to eliminating Lin Tianjue in one go, always said with a smile. Congratulations, 11th Senior Brother. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Mo Chin. It's really nothing. Their combat experience is nothing to be proud of. Lin Tianjue? If he had the same cultivation as you would have killed him like cutting vegetables. I wonder who put them on such high pedestals, Mo Chin said with a smile. 13. Where did Master take you today? Did anything good happen? I asked. Master took me to see Grandmaster. He gave me a glove. Night Sorrow took out the azure glove and handed it to Aoi. This glove is great. Grandmaster treats you well, Aoi said as she threw the glove to Night Sorrow. I'll go cheer for 6th Senior Sister tomorrow, Night Sorrow said. There's no need for that. You've been tired these 2 days. Take a rest. Aoi shook her head and said with a smile. It's okay. One day won't make a difference. Night Sorrow already felt guilty for not going to cheer for Mo Chin today. 13. The Heaven List ranking battle is a secret of the Medicine Valley. Disciples below the 4th rank are not allowed to participate, Gong Xian said. Eldest Senior Brother, 13 is a Heaven Disciple. He should be able to watch the Heaven List ranking battle with the safety standards of a Heaven Disciple, Yang Lei said after thinking for a while. 9th Senior Sister, I'm not going. I'm going to work hard on my cultivation. There's still a year before that alternate dimension opens. I still don't know how far I can go. Night Sorrow decided not to go. It wasn't that he didn't want to go, but he didn't want to make things difficult for everyone because of his own matters. Gong Xian nodded. All right, then you can stay in your 6th Senior Sister's bamboo grove. Don't push yourself too hard. After returning to the bamboo grove hut, Night Sorrow started to practice his spear arts. He discovered that his speed was not fast enough. On this point he knew that it was limited by his cultivation. Xuanhuan and xianxia were faster than him because their cultivation was much higher than his. After cultivating his spear art, Night Sorrow returned to the bamboo house to cultivate his true chi and the myriad Dao tome. After waking up the next day, Night Sorrow washed up and began practicing his spear arts. When Aoi went out, Night Sorrow also followed. Senior sister, I'll send you to the Supreme Mystery Hall. Okay, eat more when you're back. Don't work too hard. Aoi patted Night Sorrow's back. When Aoi and Night Sorrow arrived, Gong Xian and the others were already waiting at the Supreme Mystery Hall. However, they didn't see Jianghu. Following Aoi's inquiry, Night Sorrow knew that Jianghu had already gone to the Dao-seeking cliff. I wish senior brother and senior sister good success. Yishang clasped his hands as he looked at the crowd. Gong Xian nodded and led wuxialover and the others to the Dao-seeking cliff. Look at section MK on the H original version. B. 13th junior brother, let's go to the bamboo grove hut to drink. 6th senior sister isn't here. Let's see if you can get a servant girl to get us a jar of azure blood wine. Emo Chin said with a smile. Emo Chin didn't go to the Dao-seeking cliff. He hadn't reached rank 4 yet. Night Sorrow nodded and the two went to the bamboo grove hut. Hey, your master asked you to get us a jar of azure blood wine. We don't have anything to do. We want to drink today. When they arrived at Night Sorrow's hut, Emo Chin said to the servant girl. Chin yelled at the maidservant. Lord Emo, don't make it difficult for us. Miss said that when she's not here, no one can get the wine. Lord Emo isn't the first person to do this. Lord sure did it too. Always servant girl looked at Emo Chin and said, I'm going to faint. 6th senior sister is so cruel. Emo Chin rubbed his nose and said, I have to be cruel. 8th senior brother and the others also did this. If 6th senior sister didn't hold back, the wine would have been gone. Night Sorrow said with a smile. At the same time he took out a jar of azure blood wine. He had 2 jars of azure blood wine. The first time Aoi gave him one but he couldn't bear to drink it. 13th junior brother, you have some in stock? Emo Chin opened the jar and sniffed. He was a bit excited. 6th senior sister gave it to me before. I only kept some. Night Sorrow asked the servant girl to bring 2 wine bowls. If you don't give me the wine, then get me some side dishes. Emo Chin looked at the servant girl and was unhappy. He had just lost face and now she was sent away. Night Sorrow and Emo Chin casually drank wine and chatted. Emo Chin was flushed with success. The matter with Guan Yi was a knot in his heart, but it was solved a while ago. Then there was the matter of love, which was also solved with Night Sorrow's help. In addition, he took first place on the pill ranking yesterday. After drinking half a jug, Emo Chin looked for a place to sleep. Emo Chin had a bit too much, but Night Sorrow was drinking happily. After drinking 2 more bowls, he held the reincarnation spear and began to cultivate his spear arts. After using up his true chi, Night Sorrow went to meditate and cultivate. After recovering his true chi, he continued to cultivate. In the evening, Aoi came back. 6th senior sister, how was it? Night Sorrow held the spear and asked. Without eldest senior brother and 9th junior sister, Chu Ling Xiao took first place on the heavenly rankings. This bastard is very fierce. Back then when we were on the pill ranking we fought with him. Now that we are on the heavenly rankings he is still in front. Your 3rd senior brother did well this time and took 3rd place. 6th senior sister, grabbed hold of a tail. In addition your 2nd senior brother took 6th place. Oi said. Not bad. Our Taishan Peak took 3 spots in the top 10. Not bad. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Green blood wine. Did you drink? Aoi approached Night Sorrow and sniffed. Young miss, Lord Mo came and said that you agreed to give them wine. I didn't give it to them. Lord Knight gave them the wine himself. Always Mate came over and said. In the future when they come, just give them the 100 herbs wine. Give them less green blood wine each time. Aoi told the maid. Thank you, 6th senior sister. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Didn't you kill the golden silk leopard last time? I used the leopard's bones to brew some wine. The effect should be good. Aoi said with a smile. Then Aoi and Night Sorrow went to see Emo Chin. Emo Chin was lying in the guest room and snoring. Aoi shook her head helplessly and covered Emo Chin with a blanket. He doesn't know how to take care of himself at all. I don't know how to survive all these years. After eating with Aoi, Night Sorrow casually took a walk in the bamboo forest. He wanted to calm down before cultivating. Chapter 143. Sighing helplessly, Knight Sorrow returned to his loft to cultivate. He knew that if he wanted to see Xianxia again, he would have to increase his strength. He believed that Xianxia would not lie to him. Without reaching the 4th tier of cultivation, he would not be able to travel long distances. The following days were very peaceful. Knight Sorrow cultivated in Aoi's bamboo grove. Jianghu did not arrange a separate place for him to cultivate. On Taishan Peak, almost all the second-generation disciples had their own territory. Jianghu did not arrange a separate area for Knight Sorrow because he was worried that Knight Sorrow would not be able to take care of himself. Our original E% first. 60/2D. During the sect tournament, Knight Sorrow ate a drop of cauldron spirit liquid. The effect was very obvious. Knight Sorrow's Jinchi did not directly increase, but his cultivation speed increased. His cultivation of the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome was also very fast. In half a month, Knight Sorrow cultivated the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome to the peak of the 2nd tier of the muscle strengthening stage. His Jinchi also reached the middle stage of the 4th tier of the element gathering tier. Knight Sorrow did not want to cultivate quietly. He planned to accept a mission from Tianji Tower. He planned to fight while cultivating his Jinchi and the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome. After hearing Knight Sorrow's plan, Aoi was a bit conflicted. She knew that Knight Sorrow's choice was right, but it was a bit dangerous. Guanyi had fallen on this path. Aoi looked for Yang Lei to discuss and then asked Gong Xian. In the end, everyone decided to let Knight Sorrow go. At the same time, Yang Lei and Aoi also decided to follow Knight Sorrow to Longquan Courtyard. It would be more convenient this way. Knight Sorrow did not reject Yang Lei and Aoi's good intentions. He agreed and then went to bid farewell to Jianghu. Jianghu didn't object. He also supported Knight Sorrow's decision. After all, he couldn't block a path just because of Guanye's accident. However, Jianghu told the 3 of them to come back for the apprentice ceremony because there would be new members coming to Taishan Peak. Aoi and Yang Lei might be mentors. After bidding farewell to Jianghu, the 3 of them left Taishan Peak on their flying beasts and headed straight for Danding City. Knight Sorrow sat on Changyu's back and began to meditate. Knight Sorrow didn't want to waste half a day. After arriving at Longquan Courtyard, Hai Luo arranged for the servants to prepare food for everyone. Qiushu then cleaned Aoi and Yang Lei's rooms again. Qiushu was the servant that Aoi gave to Knight Sorrow. Before Hai Luo and the others arrived, she had been serving Knight Sorrow. Worried that the courtyard's expenses wouldn't be enough, Yang Lei took out some gold notes and gave them to Little Six while eating. The courtyard's expenses aren't small. Arrange it well. Master Yang, young master gave me a lot of gold notes. I can't use them all. Little Six took out a stack of gold notes and showed it to Yang Lei. People in the secular world usually called cultivators master. This was an honorific. In Longquan Courtyard, the servants and maids all called Aoi and Yang Lei this way. However, they called Knight Sorrow young master. 13. Where did you get so much money? Yang Lei looked at Knight Sorrow in astonishment. Cultivators didn't care about money, but they still needed it. Yang Lei was indeed shocked that Little Six had so many gold notes on him. It's like this. I went on a mission a while ago and got quite a lot from the bandit leader. I exchanged some gold and jewels for gold notes. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, take these and buy some clothes. Knight Sorrow took out the gold notes from his storage ring and gave them to Aoi and Yang Lei. 13 is indeed magnanimous. But what we have, you can keep it. You're raising a big family like this. Aoi pushed the gold notes back to Knight Sorrow. Alright, senior sister, there's one more thing. I got a treasure map to Lu Shan's cave. Let's go take a look when we have time. Knight Sorrow thought about the treasure map last time. That's your opportunity. Even if you're senior sister and junior sister, you have to be clear about it, Yang Lei said. But it's indeed dangerous for you to go. Let's take a break first. Yang Lei added when she saw that Knight Sorrow was in a dilemma. How about this? Whenever you want to go, we'll go with you, Aoi said. After chatting for a while, Knight Sorrow went to cultivate. When he returned to the Longquan Courtyard, Knight Sorrow's mind felt very clear. He knew that this was the effect of the natural array. After cultivating for a night and eating, Knight Sorrow rode his Chanyu to Tianji Tower early in the morning. It was the beginning of the month, so he came to see if there were any good missions. Coincidentally, when the attendant brought Knight Sorrow into the private room to look at the missions, Enforcer Dong appeared. He sent the attendant to make tea and entered the room with Knight Sorrow. Congratulations, newcomer king in the top of the Yuan leaderboard. Enforcer Dong cupped his fists at Knight Sorrow. Don't be so courteous with me, Enforcer Dong. I'm here to accept a mission today. By the way, is there any news from Sikon? Night Sorrow asked with anticipation in his eyes. No, it's too far away. Even if there's a letter, it'll take some time. This is the bronze mission list. Enforcer Dong handed a yellow beast skin mission list to Night Sorrow. Looking at the mission list, Night Sorrow accepted 4 of them, all of which were Tier 3 and below. He could now face opponents at the peak of Tier 2, so Tier 3 wasn't something he could touch yet. He knew this very well. After recording the missions, Night Sorrow returned the mission list to Enforcer Dong. Then Enforcer Dong, I'll go do my mission. Be careful. Safety comes first. Enforcer Dong reminded Night Sorrow. After nodding at Enforcer Dong, the 2 of them left the room. Enforcer Dong went to the bronze mission list and cancelled Night Sorrow's mission. Why did you cancel it? I accepted this mission. In the lobby, a young man looked at Enforcer Dong and said, the mission was cancelled when it was accepted. You accepted it too late, Enforcer Dong said. You accepted the mission? The young man looked at Night Sorrow. Yes, I accepted it. Night Sorrow nodded. Give up the mission and get lost. The young man shouted coldly. Where do you think this is? Enforcer Dong was a little angry. This young man was too arrogant. Isn't this the Golden Flame Sex area? This is Tianji Tower, but I won't fight in the Tianji Tower. Your Tianji Tower shouldn't get involved in this. The young man looked at Enforcer Dong and said arrogantly. This is the Medicine Valley's area. At this time, another disciple of the Medicine Valley who was doing a mission spoke. He was a disciple on the Yuan list. Night Sorrow didn't know him, but he knew Night Sorrow. At this time he stood out to help. The competition among the disciples of the Medicine Valley was fierce, but there were external enemies, so they were united. In other places all the forces required the same thing. Competition was necessary, but unity was the foundation of a foothold. Chapter 144. I don't care which sect you are from. Don't mess with me. I took the mission, so it's mine. Night Sorrow looked at Zhan Peng and said coldly. Are you courting death? After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Zhan Peng was a little angry. Who do you think you are? I don't want to talk to you, but you still want to talk to me? Get lost. Zhan Peng's arrogant words made Night Sorrow angry. Zhan Peng's face turned green. He pointed at Night Sorrow and said, You? Good for you. You want to know my name? Then I'll tell you too. I'm Night Sorrow from Taishin Peak in Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow threw Zhan Peng's words back to him. Enforcer Dong smiled at Night Sorrow. He liked Night Sorrow's character. When he didn't fight back, he was as calm as still water. When he fought back, he was as violent as fire. Be careful when doing missions outside. Don't get bitten by dogs. Night Sorrow nodded at the disciple on the Yuan ranking in Medicine Valley. Recently, Night Sorrow found that the disciples of Medicine Valley were only the black sheep of a certain peak. The rest of the disciples were easy to get along with and were very united. Qiming, Shi Yunxiao, and Shi Yunhai were all very easy to get along with. A few days ago, Lan Yu and Huang Qian from the Crepe Myrtle Peak had come to visit him. They had sparred, and after losing they were all smiles. They even invited Yi Shang to the Crepe Myrtle Peak as a guest. Thank you for your reminder, Martial Uncle. I'm a disciple of Wu Wei Peak. Martial Uncle, you should be careful. By the way, Senior Brother originally wanted to visit Martial Uncle, but he was caught by Senior Sister Lan Yu to do a mission, so he put it on hold. The disciple of Wu Wei Peak said. Who is your senior brother? Night Sorrow didn't remember knowing the disciple of Wu Wei Peak. My senior brother Feng Yen, 7th on the Yuan ranking. Speaking of this, the disciple of Wu Wei Peak was very proud. Well, I won't be at Taishin Peak recently. I'll go back during the sect's disciple recruitment ceremony. If I have time, I'll visit him. Night Sorrow nodded and said. You're done? Zhan Peng looked at Night Sorrow with a gloomy face. Don't talk so much. I'll take whatever you want. If talking nonsense is useful, then you don't have to cultivate. Yi Shang repeated the words that Lu Yangyu had said to Zhan Peng when he had fought against Su Qinbai in the sect competition. Look at the original chapter of Zhu, section V, I equals P. And? Seeing Yi Shang leave, Zhan Peng followed. Enforcer Dong smiled as he looked at Zhan Peng's back. He didn't say anything. He knew that if Zhan Peng went to find trouble with Yi Shang by himself, he would be looking for trouble. Night Sorrow couldn't see Zhan Peng's cultivation, but Enforcer Dong could. Zhan Peng's cultivation level was in the 8th level of element gathering tier, and Yi Shang's newbie status aside, to be able to obtain first place on the origin roll, He must have defeated quite a few opponents in the peak stage of element gathering tier. Zhang Peng was definitely no match for him. But Enforcer Dong also knew that Zhang Peng, a disciple in the 8th level of element gathering tier, couldn't come to the Medicine Valley by himself. He must have been led by a senior member of Golden Flame sect. In Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow's information had been sent to the higher-ups. The person who came to Tianjin Tower said that if the Golden Silk Leopard was killed by Night Sorrow would get the purple attention if he won the title of Newcomer King. Ordinary people might not know what this meant, but Enforcer Dong knew that Night Sorrow would probably be recruited by Tianjin Tower. Very few people would refuse Tianjin Tower's recruitment, because there was no point and no need to refuse. Tianjin Tower's development didn't conflict with other forces. No matter if it was a sect or a clan, there was no direct intersection of interests. The identity of a sect's disciple or a clan's member could coexist with Tianjin Tower's members. Being recruited and taking the initiative to join the Heaven's Terminus Tower's peripheral organization were two completely different concepts. If you voluntarily joined the outer organization of Tianjin Tower, you would get resources every month, but they would only be ordinary cultivation resources. However, if you were actively recruited by Tianjin Tower, you would get more resources than the disciples of other forces, and your starting point would be different. Enforcer Dong was the young master of the Xikong clan in the Qingtian region. It was very likely that Xikong Tianding, the future head of the clan, had used his connections to arrange a position in Tianjin Tower. However, he would only be a law enforcement officer in a small area. On the other hand, Xikong Chuyu had been actively recruited by Tianjin Tower, so her starting point was to patrol. Enforcer Dong felt a little regretful that the Xikong clan couldn't recruit Night Sorrow, mainly because the inspectors from Tianjin Tower had come too quickly. Normally, the inspectors would come to investigate once the branch of Tianjin Tower had reported a red notice. The direction of the investigation was to see if this person was qualified for the red notice. However, Yi Chang's performance this year was too outstanding. The person who came last time didn't consider whether Yi Chang was qualified for the red notice and directly confirmed whether he was qualified for the purple notice. While Enforcer Dong was worrying about personal gains and losses, Night Sorrow left Danding City in a beast carriage. Zhang Peng also sat in a beast carriage and followed Night Sorrow out of Danding City's city gate. After getting off the beast carriage, Night Sorrow turned around. "You really came. Why not? No one can be arrogant in front of a disciple of the Golden Flame sect and come out unscathed." A golden saber appeared in Zhang Peng's hand. "Make your move." Night Sorrow didn't want to waste time talking nonsense with Jin Zhan. Although he couldn't see Zhang Peng's cultivation level, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. Zhang Peng's aura wasn't as strong as the top members of Medicine Valley's Yuan list. There were only two reasons why a cultivator's aura wasn't strong. One was that their cultivation level was extremely high and they had retracted their aura. The other was that their strength wasn't strong. Zhang Peng's aura wasn't strong, and he had accepted a bronze mission, which meant that Zhang Peng belonged to the latter. "You're courting death. If I kill you, the Medicine Valley will have to bear with it." Zhang Peng waved his golden saber and rushed towards Night Sorrow. He didn't care about Night Sorrow, who was at the 4th level of the Gathering Element realm. He wasn't afraid of the consequences. His confidence came from the fact that the Golden Flame sect was powerful enough. The Golden Flame sect was one of the 7 superpowers in the Eastern Profound Domain. They weren't afraid of the other superpowers, let alone the Medicine Valley. Seeing Zhang Peng make his move, Night Sorrow waved his right hand and the reincarnation spear on his back appeared in his hand. Then his right arm shook and the spear stabbed towards Zhang Peng. Facing Night Sorrow's simple attack, Zhang Peng didn't dodge. Instead, he waved his saber to block the attack and continued to rush forward. Ding! The vibration force on Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear blocked Zhang Peng's saber. The spear didn't change and continued to stab forward. At this moment, Zhang Peng's expression changed. He hurriedly dodged. His dodging speed was relatively fast. Night Sorrow's spear didn't pierce his chest, but it cut through his left forearm, cutting off half of his forearm and left hand. Chapter 145. Zhang Peng covered his broken left arm with his right hand. His face was pale, and he looked at Night Sorrow and Qianyu with resentment in his eyes. Night Sorrow wanted to kill Zhang Peng directly. He didn't show any mercy with his spear, but he didn't continue after cutting off Zhang Peng's left arm. Zhang Peng without an arm was no different from killing him. If he really killed Zhang Peng, the Golden Flame sect might punish him. Night Sorrow didn't want to cause trouble for the Medicine Valley and Taishan Peak. After 4 days, Night Sorrow finished a time-limited task and returned to the Longquan courtyard. Boy, where did you go? We were worried sick about you, Always said worriedly when she saw Night Sorrow come back. I went to do a time-limited task. Little 6, feed Tianyu. There were still 2 days before the task, so Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He let Tianyu rest and asked Little 6 to feed him. Do you know that the disciples of the Golden Flame sect are looking for you? Your 9th senior sister went back to find her master, Always said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment. Then he understood that the matter was serious. There was someone behind Zhanpeng. Now the disciples of the Medicine Valley are looking for you. They are worried that you will be found by the Golden Flame sect. The Golden Flame sect is also looking for you. Of course they don't have good intentions. What's going on? Oi asked Night Sorrow. Just when Night Sorrow was about to explain, Xianxia appeared. Gong Xian and the others also came. Greetings, Master. Greetings, senior brothers and sisters. Night Sorrow bowed to Xianxia. Xianxia nodded. It's good that you are back. I will solve any problems. After speaking, Xianxia entered the main building and sat down. Why 7% forever MK free? Read a novel, 6th senior sister. What's going on? The impatient Yang Lei asked Aoi. 13 just came back. I'm not sure. Aoi shook her head. Then, Night Sorrow explained what had happened. Master, this disciple has caused trouble for you. Night Sorrow said with some guilt. Do you regret it? Xianxia didn't comment on the matter. Instead he asked. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, I don't regret it. I won't cause any trouble for the sect. I'll leave later and go out to train. It's good that you don't regret it. Why did you leave? I can take responsibility for this matter. If something like this happens again, I will kill him directly. Xianxia said coldly. Master, before I went back to see you, I walked around Danding City and found many disciples of the Golden Flame sect. Yang Lei said. Something has happened. The Golden Flame sect seems to have gotten the news that the Medicine Valley has found the Holy Cauldron Sutra. 13's matter was the first confrontation. Xianxia said. How could the Golden Flame sect know about this? Gong Xian looked at Xianxia in shock. If the Golden Flame sect knew about this matter, it would be a big problem. The news about the Holy Cauldron Sutra is only known to the people of Taishan Peak, a few Grand Elders and some higher-ranking elders. If this matter is leaked, it means that the Golden Flame sect has already infiltrated the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley. Xianxia said with a gloomy expression. If the Golden Flame sect is worried about the rise of the Medicine Valley, they may make a series of moves. They may even find an excuse to declare war. Gong Xian said. Yes, but the possibility is not high. To be honest, we also have people in the Golden Flame sect. Currently, the Golden Flame sect is not sure if the Medicine Valley has really found the Holy Cauldron Sutra. In addition, if the Golden Flame sect starts a war with the Medicine Valley will be defeated, but the Golden Flame sect will also suffer a great loss. Even then, the Golden Flame sect will not be able to resist the encroachment of the other 6 superpowers. Xianxia analyzed. It seems that they came to the Medicine Valley in large numbers to cause trouble. Then let's fight. Let's see if they can afford it. They even chased us out of the city gate to cause trouble. We have given them face. Yang Lei's face was filled with murderous intent. Alright, Shirsan, follow me to the Golden Flame Pavilion in Danding City. Let's see what they want to do. Xianxia stood up and said. Night Sorrow nodded. He originally planned to take the blame himself, but now it seemed that this was not only his problem, but also the Medicine Valley's problem. Because before this, some of the Medicine Valley's disciples had already been injured by the Golden Flame sect's disciples. The Golden Flame Pavilion was the Golden Flame sect's stronghold in Danding City. After arriving at the Golden Flame Pavilion, Xianxia did not plan to let his disciples follow him. However, Gong Xian and Yang Lei still followed him. After entering the Golden Flame Pavilion's lobby, Xianxia sat down and shouted to his followers, Tell your people to come see me. Who are you? This is the Golden Flame Pavilion. The Golden Flame sect's disciple took out his weapon and looked at Xianxia. Who are you? Didn't your Golden Flame sect say that you want to catch Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow is here. Yang Lei said. The followers in the lobby all held their weapons and were on alert. At the same time, one of them went to report. Before this lackey could leave the hall, a green-robed old man appeared. Xianxia, did you come to the wrong place to show off? The old man entered the lobby and sat on the main seat. Did I come to the wrong place to show off? Then did the Golden Flame sect's disciples come to the right place to show off in Danding City? Xianxia sneered. Don't forget, the Medicine Valley is a subsidiary force of the Golden Flame sect. The entire northeastern region of the East Black Continent is under the influence of the Golden Flame sect, the old man said unhurriedly as he took a sip of the tea served by his lackeys. It's true that the Medicine Valley is a subsidiary force of the Golden Flame sect. However, at the same time, the Medicine Valley is in charge of the Medicine Valley. This is a rule. Take back your claws. Don't try to show off in front of me. You xianxia are not good enough. Jianghu said loudly. His words were not polite. Jianghu, what do you mean by this? Does the Medicine Valley want to become enemies with the Golden Flame sect? Xianxia stood up and pointed at Jianghu. So what if we become enemies? So what if we don't become enemies? The Medicine Valley doesn't need anyone to tell us what to do. We don't mind some small things, but it's not the right for you to take advantage of us. Catch Night Sorrow? He's right here. Who wants to catch him? Let's see if I can chop off his claws. Jianghu stood up and pointed at Night Sorrow. His words were domineering. He didn't seem to be at a disadvantage just because the Medicine Valley was a subsidiary force of the Golden Flame sect. You? The Golden Flame sect won't let this go. Xianxia really wanted to kill Night Sorrow right now, but he didn't dare to. With his cultivation at the peak of the 4th stage, even Gong Xian and Yang Lei couldn't handle him. Chapter 146. Master, what's the cultivation level of the person inside? I only felt an oppressive aura, Yang Lei asked. Much higher than yours. This guy knew that he had to come out. Plus, Xianxia couldn't gain the upper hand, so he didn't come out. This also means that the Golden Flame sect doesn't have the confidence to shed all pretense of cordiality. Jianghu looked back at the Golden Flame Pavilion and said, Master, what should we do next? Yang Lei asked. The Golden Flame Pavilion's cultivation level is very high. The cultivation of the guy in the Golden Fire Pavilion is not simple. He should be an elder of the Golden Fire sect. Since he sent an elder here, it seems that the Golden Fire sect has set their eyes on this place. Then we will fight back. Before I came here, I met the Great Elder and he gave me full authority to deal with this matter. The other peaks will cooperate fully. I plan to set up a few law enforcement teams and arrange a few strong captains. As long as there are people causing trouble in the Medicine Valley, they will be dealt with. After Jianghu and the others left the Golden Flame Pavilion, an old man in a brocade robe came to the hall of the Golden Flame Pavilion. Elder Qi, this Jianghu is too arrogant, Xianxia said. He does have the right to be arrogant. I didn't expect his disciple to have reached the 5th rank. The old man in the brocade robe sighed as he looked at the street outside with his hands behind his back. Elder Qi, what should we do now? What should we do to capture Night Sorrow's disciple outside? Xianxia's expression was not good because he was not even as good as Jianghu's disciple. Jianghu's behavior is unreasonable. Don't provoke them for the time being. Tell the disciples to be more restrained and communicate with the rogue cultivators in the Danding City area. The sect will also communicate with the forces in the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley must be attacked. The main thing is to see if the other information is true. The old man in the brocade robe made arrangements. Jianghu could make decisions on behalf of the Medicine Valley, but the old man in the brocade robe couldn't. This was also related to the different directions of the sect's development. Medicine Valley did not seek hegemony, nor did they seek to expand their sphere of influence. However, in their own land they would not give in to anyone who crossed the line. This was their tradition. No matter which peak master it was, he could make the decision. Even if blood flowed like rivers, the disciples of the Medicine Valley would fight to the end. However, the Golden Flame sect was different. The Golden Flame sect's development strategy was huge. They had to consider the threat of the other 6 superpowers and expand their influence. Therefore, they couldn't just attack anyone they wanted. The main reason was that the Medicine Valley was very strong. It was one of the strongest among the Golden Flame sect's subordinate forces. The Medicine Valley had been rooted in the Eastern Profound Domain for countless years and was deeply rooted in the Eastern Profound Domain. It wasn't easy to destroy it. After leaving the Golden Flame Pavilion, Jianghu made arrangements. Yang Lei and Aoi stayed in the Dragon Spring Courtyard, while the others went back to the Medicine Valley to make arrangements for the law enforcement team. One day later, 3 law enforcement teams from the Medicine Valley were stationed in Danding City. One team was led by Gong Xian, while the other 2 were led by Chu Lingxiao and Yi Shui from the Wuwei Peak. This was the first action taken by the Medicine Valley. In addition, the elders of the sect led people to patrol the area under the influence of the Medicine Valley to warn the small forces that were ready to make trouble. Forever 2 watch videos for free / talk 6. The person in charge of this operation was appointed by the first elder and the valley master. The person in charge was jianghu. The Medicine Valley attached great importance to this matter. The other peak masters also arrived in Danding City to deal with the upcoming situation. It had been a long time since the Medicine Valley made such a big move. The main reason was that too many disciples of the Golden Flame sect had come to Danding City. They could even form groups to capture Night Sorrow. How could the situation not be serious? It really corresponded to the saying, "The wind blows before the mountain storm." After returning to the Dragon Spring courtyard to cultivate for a night, Night Sorrow went to the Tianji Tower to hand in his mission. There was a time limit for the mission he completed, so he had to hand it in as soon as possible. Seeing Night Sorrow, Law Enforcement Dong smiled. He knew the current situation in Danding City and the cause. However, he did not expect that Night Sorrow would cut off one of Zhangping's hands. He had sent a letter to the headquarters of the Tianji Tower in the Eastern Profound Domain. This was not because Night Sorrow had reached such a high level. The situation in the Medicine Valley was delicate, so the Tianji Tower had to know about it. They also reported Night Sorrow's matter. Purple attention was not a small matter, not to mention that Night Sorrow was the first on the Yuan ranking in the Medicine Valley. Law Enforcement Dong, I'm here to hand in my mission, Night Sorrow said. I'm relieved to see you. It's good that the Golden Flame sect did not catch you. However, your master is indeed domineering. Law Enforcement Dong said with a smile. He also knew that jianghu had gone to the Golden Flame sect. Now that the disciples of the Golden Flame sect did not come out, it meant that the Golden Flame sect did not have the confidence to deal with this matter. They went too far. That guy followed me out of the city and wanted to kill me. Then I had no reason to be polite, Night Sorrow said. True, but you have to be careful when you go out in the future. Don't get ambushed, Law Enforcement Dong reminded Night Sorrow after exchanging the mission reward. After leaving the Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow's body trembled. He took 2 steps back and looked around. Then he found the source of the problem. It was the driver of a beast carriage. It was an old man. Although he was smiling, Night Sorrow felt a murderous aura and danger. This was his intuition. Night Sorrow got up and returned to the Tianji Tower. Hey, why are you back? Law Enforcement Dong asked in surprise. Law Enforcement Dong was right. I'm being targeted. This person is really planning to ambush me. I can't fight against that person. If he attacks, I won't even have a chance to escape. Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Danding City forbade violence. However, if the attacker was extremely powerful and left quickly after the attack, this rule would not be a deterrent. What's his cultivation? Law Enforcement Dong asked. I don't know. I just instinctively feel that it's dangerous. Night Sorrow shook his head. Law Enforcement Dong brought Night Sorrow to a room on the 4th floor of the Tianji Tower. Law Enforcement Dong gently opened the window. Is it the old man in green? Yes, that's him. What's his cultivation? Night Sorrow asked. Rank 4, rank 3. If you don't look carefully, you won't be able to tell. His camouflage ability is very strong. A carriage driver with 3 levels of spirit severing. It seems like he's really targeting you. You can rest here and wait for him to leave. Or you can ask the disciples of the Medicine Valley who are doing the mission to send someone to pick you up. Law Enforcement Dong closed the window and said to Night Sorrow. He was really impressed by Night Sorrow. He looked around and saw the old man. Night Sorrow realized that this was his instinct when he came out of the Tianji Tower. Night Sorrow's intuition for danger was too terrifying. Night Sorrow nodded. This was the only way. He didn't have any other choice. If a rank 4 cultivator attacked him, he would die. He wouldn't be able to resist at all. When they reached the hall on the 1st floor, Night Sorrow made tea. Law Enforcement Dong didn't accompany him. After all, it wasn't appropriate. The people outside the Tianji Tower could see Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow could also see outside. He was waiting for the disciples of the Medicine Valley. If there was a suitable one, he would spread the news. Chapter 147. Senior Brother Chu. Night Sorrow stood up and greeted Chu Lingxiao. Chu Lingxiao, who was passing by, stopped and walked over with his men. Junior Brother Knight, are you here for a mission? This is an emergency. Be careful. I'm not safe now. Hurry up and catch him. Night Sorrow pointed at the green-robed old man and shouted. Seeing Chu Lingxiao talking to Night Sorrow, the green-robed old man knew that he couldn't do anything and planned to leave. But Night Sorrow wouldn't let him go so easily. He shouted at Chu Lingxiao. Chu Lingxiao followed Night Sorrow's finger and saw the green-robed old man. His expression changed and he moved to stop the beast carriage. As soon as Chu Lingxiao moved, the people he led surrounded the carriage. I didn't notice. You almost slipped away. A long sword appeared in Chu Lingxiao's hand. What do you mean? I'm driving a beast carriage to earn some pocket money. Is that in anyone's way? The old man said. Third-grade divine clone? Driving a beast carriage to earn some pocket money? Who are you trying to fool? Third-grade divine clone ambushing a fourth-grade gathering element cultivator? You're shameless. I'm not going to waste my time with you. Chu Lingxiao attacked as soon as he finished speaking. After Chu Lingxiao attacked, the green-robed old man began to fight back. But the gap between them was too big. After a few rounds, the old man's ribs were pierced by Chu Lingxiao's sword qi and he lost his ability to fight. I'm a disciple of the Golden Flame sect. You dare to attack me? The old man who lost his ability to fight finally revealed his identity. If it was something else, the Medicine Valley might tolerate it. Ambushing an elite disciple of the Medicine Valley? Then I'm sorry. Chu Lingxiao waved the long sword in his right hand and beheaded the green-robed old man. At this moment, Chu Lingxiao had nothing to do with being gentle and refined. He had a reason to kill the old man because the Golden Flame sect's disciples had appeared. The leader was Zhan Qinghe. If he didn't kill them, the situation would change. After killing the green-robed elder, Chu Lingxiao sheathed his sword and asked Zhan Qinghe, Enforcer Zhan, this person attacked my Medicine Valley's elite disciple and even said that he was from your Golden Flame sect. Is he one of your people? Zhan Qinghe was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He only asked after killing him. Wasn't this intentional? Originally, Zhan Qinghe had planned to use pressure and negotiation to exchange for the old man. He was one of the elite members who had followed Elder Qi here. What's wrong? Are they really from the Golden Flame sect? Then what do you mean? Are you going to attack the disciples of the Medicine Valley? Chu Lingxiao's expression changed as he sternly questioned. At the same time, the law enforcement team he led also drew their weapons and prepared to fight. I don't know either. I'll take the body back and ask if it's a member of the Golden Flame sect. At this time, Zhan Qinghe could not use force. If he used force, he would have to fight. The Medicine Valley was ready for a fight, but the Golden Flame sect had not given any further instructions. Okay, we want to know who this guy is. If you have any results, please let us know, Chu Lingxiao said as he put away his long sword. Zhan Qinghe snorted coldly and called for people to take the body of the old man in the green robe away. Everyone had a tacit understanding, but they didn't open their mouths. Once the topic was opened, it would be a real full-scale war. This battle ended once again with the Medicine Valley gaining the upper hand. The attitude of the Medicine Valley was clear. If you dare to cause trouble, I dare to kill you. Thank you, Senior Brother Chu. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get out of this door. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to Chu Lingxiao. We're all brothers. You're welcome. You did well today. Don't be impulsive. They're all elites now. You really can't be reckless. Chu Lingxiao was a little scared. Night Sorrow was smart. He didn't come out of the Tianji Tower and didn't give that guy a chance. Otherwise Night Sorrow would have died. Not to mention the Yuan Gathering Realm, even the Core Condensation Realm couldn't escape from a Spirit-Severing Realm cultivator. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Where are you going? I'll ask someone to send you there. Chu Lingxiao looked at Night Sorrow and said. Update asterisk. The soonest you update. Thank you, Senior Brother Chu. I can go by myself. If there's danger, I'll avoid it, Night Sorrow said. No, it's not your problem now. You fought with that arrogant disciple of the Golden Flame sect and cut off his hand. You're showing the prestige of the Medicine Valley. If something happens to you, the Medicine Valley will lose face, Chu Lingxiao refuted Night Sorrow. He was mainly worried about Night Sorrow's safety. I see. Then send me to the city gate. I'll go to the Dragon Spring courtyard, Night Sorrow said in a low voice. He couldn't let the Golden Flame sect find out. Fifth brother, seventh brother, you two send junior brother Night Sorrow to the city gate. Be careful. If junior brother Night Sorrow has something to do, go to the city lord's mansion. Martial Uncle Lu and the other martial uncles are all there, Chu Lingxiao said to the two members of the law enforcement team. At the same time, he also reminded Night Sorrow to be careful. After exiting the city gate and bidding farewell to his escorts, Yishang sat on Tianyu and left Danding City. He hurried for a while and made a small circle. When he didn't find anyone following him, he returned to Longquan courtyard. So late? You took so long to hand in the task. Seeing Night Sorrow coming back, Aoi complained. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to hide it, so he told her what happened. How shameless. The Golden Flame sect is so aggressive. I'll go and kill their disciples now. Hearing that Night Sorrow was ambushed, Yang Lei was furious. Ninth sister, it's not appropriate. If you directly attack them, it will cause more conflict. If that happens, the Golden Flame sect will have to fight. It's completely unnecessary. That bastard Chu Ling shouted a good job today. Always stop the furious Yang Lei. 13. I'll secretly follow you tomorrow and see who dares to attack you. Yang Lei thought for a while and didn't refute Aoi. It was indeed not a good time to attack. The Golden Flame sect's disciples could be killed, but if they took the initiative to attack, the conflict would intensify. The Medicine Valley wasn't afraid of war, but it was better to avoid it. After all, if they fought with the Golden Flame sect, it would be a fatal blow to the Medicine Valley. If the Golden Flame sect didn't let the Medicine Valley gain a foothold, then the Medicine Valley would definitely fight back. If the Golden Flame sect could restrain themselves, then the war wouldn't break out. The Medicine Valley needed time to find the sacred cauldron scripture. Okay, then you can follow me tomorrow. But I'm doing the task to train myself, so you don't have to do anything. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei left the courtyard to do the task. The task was to kill 2 peak tier 2 black-scaled beasts that were attacking the village. This task wasn't difficult for Night Sorrow. He had hunted black-scaled beasts before, but they were still underage. These 2 black-scaled beasts were much stronger than the one Night Sorrow had killed. However, Night Sorrow was no longer the same as before. He finished the battle in 15 minutes. Chapter 148. This letter was brought by someone from the Eastern Profound Region headquarters. Sikong Chuyu was the inspector of Tianji Tower. Passing a letter through Tianjin Tower was a very simple matter. After reading the letter, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. Sikong Chuyu had already arrived at Yunwu Mountain, and the Sikong clan couldn't reach there yet. Although Yunwu Mountain wasn't as powerful as the Sikong clan, they still couldn't be easily provoked. Moreover, they were relatives. Sikong Tianding was happy to see such a scene. His daughter was safe and protected from the attack from the clan. This was a good thing for him. The letter was several pages long. Apart from introducing his situation, the rest was about Night Sorrow's advice and concern. Sikong Chuyu told him to work hard and cultivate. If he could get the attention of Tianjin Tower, it would be best if he could enter Tianjin Tower. This was an opportunity for Night Sorrow to get out of this area. If he could enter Tianjin Tower, it would be much easier for Night Sorrow to see her. After folding the letter, Night Sorrow put it away. At this moment, Night Sorrow was very excited. He had always been worried about Sikong Chuyu's situation. He was very worried that the Sikong clan would take him back. Although his father would take care of it, it was still a troublesome matter. Sikong Chuyu's safety was no longer a problem. Night Sorrow's concern turned into longing. The silhouette of Sikong Chuyu, wearing a long robe and covered with a light veil, appeared in his mind. Night Sorrow, what did Miss say to you? Enforcer Dong asked. In the public square of Tianjin Tower, Enforcer Dong called her Lord. In private, he called her Mississippi. She didn't say anything. She just said that she's very good, Night Sorrow said. Miss is very good to you. She still wrote to you from so far away. You can't let her down, Enforcer Dong said with a smile. I won't. I definitely won't. Night Sorrow nodded very seriously. Someone from above wants to see you. The letter was also brought by someone from above, Enforcer Dong said. You want to see me? Then Enforcer Dong, take me there. Night Sorrow was shocked. I can see the top management of Tianji Tower now? This shouldn't be the case. Let's go. Enforcer Dong led Night Sorrow to the top floor of Tianji Tower. In the room on the top floor, Night Sorrow saw a man in a black robe. The black-robed man's back was facing Night Sorrow. His figure was tall and straight, and his black hair was tied to the top of his head. There was a thread at the back of his head that was connected to a mask. At this moment, the man turned around and sized up Night Sorrow. He was wearing a half mask, so the upper part of his nose was visible. Sit. The man sat down first. Night Sorrow nodded and found a place to sit down. He wasn't nervous. This person probably didn't have any ill intentions. I've read your information and learned about it personally. Very good. Enforcer Dong, Tell him about our Qinji Tower's recruitment of talents, the man said to Enforcer Dong. Enforcer Dong repeated what he had told Knight Sorrow before. Enforcer Dong, you can leave first. The black-robed man sent Enforcer Dong away. Obviously, he didn't want Enforcer Dong to know about the following conversation. Knight Sorrow also understood this point. You know the situation. The probability of red talents being recruited is very low. Even if they are recruited, they will only go to the periphery. The probability of purple talents being recruited is very high. It can be said that they will basically be recruited. However, after being recruited, they will go to the periphery or the inner circle. It depends on their performance. At present, your cultivation path has just started. Qinji Tower will give you some resources for your cultivation, the black-robed man said to Knight Sorrow. If they give me cultivation resources now, aren't they worried that I won't accept Qinji Tower's arrangement in the future? Or will I have to accept Qinji Tower's arrangement when the time comes? Knight Sorrow asked the doubts in his heart. To be able to consider the future, your thoughts are very meticulous. You can rest assured on this point. To do a little bit of effort to nurture outstanding talents, the Extreme Heaven Tower has this kind of spirit. At the very least, the cultivators who have been supported by the Extreme Heaven Tower in the future will not turn against the Extreme Heaven Tower, don't you think so? If you think about the downside, this is a kind of investment. After all, those who can get purple talents will definitely have achievements as long as they don't have any problems, the black-robed man said after carefully sizing up Knight Sorrow for a while. Then I accept. I don't know what the future will be like. At the very least, I won't bite the hand that feeds me. Knight Sorrow nodded. Well said. There are currently 18 people who have purple talents in the headquarters of Eastern Xin region, and your answer is the only one. In fact, I don't like people who swear loyalty when they open their mouths and say they will die before they close their mouths. They are too hypocritical. Who doesn't think for themselves? The black-robed man said with a smile. A man without desires is strong. If I am restricted too much, I will think about this and that every day and I will feel uneasy, Knight Sorrow said. That's right. There are indeed no restrictions at the moment. Even if you decide to enter Qinji Tower, there will be few restrictions. This is my sincere words, the black-robed man said. I understand. From your words, I can feel Qinji Tower's style of doing things. Knight Sorrow believed the black-robed man's words because he was sincere. These are the resources that belong to you. 3 bottles of top-grade energy-gathering pills and 1 energy-breaking pill. When you cultivate, try to increase your speed as much as possible under the condition that your foundation is stable, because this is related to the degree of your attention. The black-robed man took out 4 bottles of pills and pushed them in front of Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow opened the bottle of energy-gathering pills and took a look at them. He took out the pills he refined and looked at the differences in the middle. After a while he put them down. They are indeed better than the ones I refined. The color is bright and the efficacy is high. The main thing is that there are almost no impurities. You can refine pills? Let me see the best pills you refined. The black-robed man's voice was a little surprised. His eyes were fixed on Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow nodded and took out the bottle of leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. He opened it and took out 1 pill and handed it to the black-robed man. Permanently exempt from plus? Cost. 3 look/small PRC. The black-robed man took the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill and looked at it. He rubbed his fingers and pinched a little bit of the pill. Then he put it into his mouth from under the mask and closed his eyes to feel it for a while. A pill that strengthens the body and is also an auxiliary pill. This is very rare. I will keep this half of the pill and take it back to appraise its medicinal properties. Don't worry. Qinji Tower will not use this pill without a circulating pill formula. They will not refine this kind of pill. Even if they want to refine it, they will ask for your permission. The black-robed man put away the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. This is nothing. Knight Sorrow nodded. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.